Good morning. I have to do this, you guys. It's been running through my head all day, so just bear with me. Mike. Guess what day it is? It's hump day. Good morning, you guys. How you doing? Are y'all set for this? Now, I can't promise that this is going to be exciting, or I don't even know who's testifying. So I don't know what all they're gonna say, but I like our little chat that we get to have. And, it's hard to chat on the bigger channels that are streaming this because, like, I was looking this morning, like probably about 15 minutes ago, and Law and Crime at 8:45, 2,000 people in their chat. And that makes it really difficult for anybody to really have I mean, you can obviously comment. It's just that it's going to be really difficult for anybody to um, be able to respond to you, for you to see the response if they do respond to you. And I like you know, our little chat because we do get to we do get to chat to each other. We can see each other's responses and all that. So that's what I like. So I thought to myself, even though they're not going to be having a lot of live um, testimony today, it's mainly going to be recorded depositions. That's okay because I think I still want to hear what her proof is, and no, and I'm not. I feel like I wouldn't be doing the covering of the case justice if I didn't play the stuff that isn't salacious, which would be like Amber's testimony, obviously, Johnny Depp's testimony, obviously. I feel like the fair thing to do if we're actually going to, figure out what is going on in this case and who's telling the truth would be to um, cover all of it, even the stuff that's not, you know, we don't, because I have no idea what any of these people are going to say. So we don't know. We could be hearing, interesting testimony. And I do want to know, I'm very curious what Amber Heard's proof
All right, we ready for the jury?
is, because she's countersuing, and that's important. So everybody's gonna, before we start though, I did want to say one thing. It's all over the Twitters that Legal Bites is reporting that after Amber flounced out of the courtroom, which I didn't give it as much play as I should have last night. What she did yesterday was incredibly disrespectful. It is bad courtroom decorum, etiquette, manners, all of those things, for her to have just bounced from the courtroom without standing for the jury. It's bad. It's rude.
Right.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies
And it
and
could
gentlemen.
cost her some points, quite
As
frankly.
you remember, we were in the middle of a witness last evening, so we'll continue with her testimony, okay?
So, but they're reporting that after that
After
happened,
she returned from Australia. Yes.
hold on just a second.
How soon after she arrived back from Australia did you see her?
I believe it was immediately upon her return.
Hold on just a minute. Anyway, it's all over Twitter that Legal Bites is reporting that after she flounced out of the courtroom, and Elaine ended up joining her in the back area of the courthouse, they were overheard arguing, and allegedly Elaine said, "If you don't like it, fucking represent yourself." So just wanted to say that.
Yeah, there were very, very deep, long cuts on the backs of her forearms.
Do you see her feet?
At first, when she came over, she had shoes on, and then she showed me her feet. Yeah.
What specifically do you recall seeing on Miss Heard's feet?
They were just they were cut. It was smaller cuts than the ones on her arms.
Were both feet cut?
I don't remember if it was both or one.
You testified that Ms. Heard told you that she got these injuries from glass from broken bottles. Is that correct?
Yes.
You were not in Australia with Ms. Heard when she allegedly sustained these injuries. Is that correct, Ms. Pennington?
I was not in Australia.
So your only understanding as to how Ms. Heard sustained these injuries is what she told you, right?
That is my understanding.
You've testified that you attended a Thanksgiving dinner with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard in November of 2015. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why does Amber's team seem to
And this
have
dinner
so
was
much
held in
trouble
Penthouse
with
5 at the Eastern Columbia building, right?
volume?
Um,
Fix the audio, defense. These are your witnesses. Come on, get it
Yes.
together.
And just for clarification, Penthouse 5 was not Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's primary residence, correct?
all of the penthouses are connected.
Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard lived in Penthouse 3. Is that correct?
Well, technically, they lived in all of them. They were all connected.
Oh my God, we're going on technicalities here. It's not what she asked.
Where did they have their bedroom? In which penthouse?
Their bedroom was in 3.
Who attended this Thanksgiving dinner?
I think that, well, Josh, myself, Amber, Johnny. There were a couple of Johnny's friends.
Yeah,
I think
this is
Amber's
Jay.
dad
This
was
I
there.
think that you're right. This is Johnny Depp's lawyers, but my issue is
Jack,
that the
Johnny's
defense is the
son.
one that's playing it. So why don't they
I don't
fix the
remember anyone
audio?
else specifically.
So annoying. Sorry, I'm already
Do you recall
feisty.
what time you all sat down to eat dinner?
No.
Okay, but you testified at some point late in the meal, Amber went upstairs to look for Johnny and stayed up there for a long time, correct?
Yes.
And let me see
And
if I
did
can
Mr.
figure
Depp
out
sit
who
down to dinner with
is
all of you?
testifying right now. Hold on just a second.
I don't know if we all actually sat down at one point.
Did you see Mr. Depp at some point leave the dinner?
I don't remember him leaving. I remember noticing that he was gone.
Did you see where Mr. Depp left to, where he went?
This
He
is
went
I
upstairs or
believe
up the
this is
front door?
Raquel Pennington, you guys.
I didn't see it happen, so I don't know.
Did you observe Ms. Heard consume any alcohol before she went to look for Mr. Depp?
Jinx! Peach Poke, you owe me a Coke. Max
What was she drinking?
2002.
Red wine.
Did she seem drunk when she went to look for Mr. Depp?
No.
Did you observe any injuries to Ms. Heard when she returned?
No.
Did you observe any injuries to Mr. Depp when he returned?
No.
Do you remember that when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard came downstairs, they were wearing different clothes?
I don't remember Johnny changing clothes. I do remember that Amber changed clothes.
Do you remember anyone that was still there when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard came back downstairs?
Believe Josh and myself. David Heard. And I don't remember anyone else specifically who was still there.
You also testified that when, quote, you went to look and found that a full bottle of wine had hit and broken a piece of art that Amber really loved above the bed, and that broken glass was scattered all over the bed.
Did I testify that?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that an accurate description of what you saw?
Yes.
And where did you see this? In what room?
In their bedroom of PH3.
How did you get to this penthouse from penthouse 5?
I went upstairs in penthouse 5, across the top story, which all 3 penthouses were connected, through to penthouse 3. The bedroom was also on the top story, and all the way through and around.
Do you recall seeing any spilled wine?
I think there was wine. Yeah, I think there was also spilled wine on the bed and on the ground.
Do you remember whether that bottle of wine was broken or not?
I don't remember that the bottle was broken, but there's also plenty of glasses around with wine in them that could have been part of that. There was glass everywhere.
So you specifically remember glass being everywhere upstairs. Is that fair?
On the bed, mostly.
What kind of wine bottle was it? Magnum? Red? Do you remember?
It would have been red.
Was it a Magnum bottle?
I don't think so.
What picture had been damaged?
I'm curious how you break glass on a bed.
I think it was one of Eleanor Finney, I believe.
Apologies, Ms. Pennington. What did it look like?
I don't remember which one.
You saw the aftermath?
The aftermath, fair.
So you don't know that Mr. Depp actually threw the bottle, right?
I don't know.
Ms. Heard could have thrown the bottle, true?
She could have.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Did you say she could have?
She could have.
And was the evening still happening after you returned from observing the bedroom?
Yes.
Do you recall any other issues happening, any further problems during the evening?
I don't recall any. No.
Do you remember providing deposition testimony
Is
about
she
the
wearing
Thanksgiving
braces, you
incident when
guys?
you
I
were
don't know, I'm
deposed in the
distracted.
divorce proceeding?
If you have transcript of that original deposition, I could take a look at it and recall.
Do you have any independent recollection of testifying during the divorce proceeding about Thanksgiving?
Are you talking about the deposition or
She does
testifying?
seem sedate, to have a
I'm
sedated
talking about your
effect about
deposition
her.
during the
Yes.
divorce proceeding.
She's out there
Do you
direction.
remember?
I remember the depo, but it was a very long depo and a lot of topics were covered.
So, do you remember during the depo testifying that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard returned to dinner? Mr. Depp was, quote, acting like nothing had happened. Do you remember that testimony?
I don't
Yes.
remember the specifics of the testimony.
Okay. So, can videographer, would you mind or tech pulling up Ms. Pennington's July 14, 2016 deposition transcript?
December.
July 14, 2016, it's volume 2.
I'm also distracted by the random chair by the window. For whatever reason, it keeps catching my eye, and I feel like it's just thrown the entire balance of the room off.
Yeah, if you could please scroll down to page 238. Ms. Pennington, if you could look on page 238 of your deposition transcript from July 14, 2016, line 23, and if you could read to yourself through page 240, line 18.
Yes, Sugar Beet. Their attitude. I've noticed that as a trend. I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's still under oath. It is still a legal proceeding. It is not a casual Friday dinner or casual Friday at the office. My bad. It's neither of those. It's not a casual Friday dinner, and it's not a casual Friday at the office. And honestly, I understand that this is not the true meaning of a hostile witness, but it feels like a lot of these people don't want to be doing this. They don't want to testify. They don't want to give depositions. They are resistant to going on the record. And that's not just on Amber Heard's side. That's on Johnny Depp's side as well. Nurse Debbie didn't want to testify in court. She asked that and answered it directly. I'm not talking over testimony. They're still trying to figure out the correct page. It's like they're all about, my name is Paul, and that's between y'all. And I have a feeling it has less to do with the potential, like they don't want to talk about the domestic violence. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think they want to talk about the drugs, frankly. But relax, nobody's judging. It's not like you're going to give testimony and the feds are going to come pick you up the next day. You're
Okay.
You know, you're safe.
So you testified at your deposition that after Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard returned to dinner, Mr. Depp was, quote, acting like nothing happened. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the night has faded in my memory, but as I read this, yeah.
Is that an accurate description of what you observed Mr. Depp that evening?
This description?
Yeah. Was it your observation the evening of Thanksgiving that you couldn't tell whether Mr. Depp was drunk or angry, that he just put on a facade?
I couldn't tell what he was feeling. I didn't know what was going on.
And you couldn't tell if he was drunk? correct?
I couldn't tell.
And you couldn't tell if he was angry that evening either?
Well, I can't say what anybody else's emotions are at any time.
You didn't perceive him being angry in front of you that evening?
At me, no.
At
At
anybody.
anyone?
Oh, sorry.
Not that I recall.
There you go. Max,
So fair to say that Mr. Depp not seem angry to you when he came downstairs after the Thanksgiving dinner, right?
He didn't seem any particular way to me.
I think she had her
You
hands
testified
full
that in
with
December
Elaine and
2015,
Camille
Amber
yesterday when
called
that
you
guy,
over to
when that
her
happened.
apartment so that you could check her out. Is that a correct statement? You testified to that?
Yes.
Okay, my question was, after you arrived, you observed injuries to Ms. Heard, right?
Yes.
Do you remember seeing that her head was bloody, where a chunk of hair had been ripped out of the back of her head?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Was her head
yes.
actively bleeding when you saw her?
It wasn't like dripping down her head, but it was raw and red.
Interesting.
Was it actively bleeding, do you remember?
Define actively bleeding.
Leaking
blood?
blood.
Yes.
How could you tell hair had been ripped out of her head?
There was a bloody patch with hair missing.
Well, don't
Where was
laugh.
her face red?
Her whole face.
Could the redness have been from crying?
It could have been.
Could the redness have been
Where did
from
her nose
alcohol
appear to be
consumption?
Oh
boy.
It'd be like the upper bridge.
Did you observe that Ms. Heard had any black eyes?
Not that I recall.
Was there blood on her lips when you saw her?
It was cut open.
Was there blood coming out of that cut?
Sorry, you can answer. Sorry.
I don't remember if there was blood coming out of it at that point.
Was it on the top or bottom lip?
It was on the bottom.
I'm
Before
only
we start,
highlighting this
have
because
any
I think
independent
it's
recollection of
important,
seeing
but we don't speak that
laceration on
case
Ms.
here.
Heard's
No, just
forehead?
kidding. I can't. Ugh, I'm so over that island.
There
All
were
right.
many times that I saw injuries on her. If you would like to show me a photo or point me to another place where I can remember which injury was
Sorry.
in which instance, then I can answer the question.
So you testified that Ms. Heard had a laceration on her forehead when you saw her, correct?
Yes.
If you remember, where on her forehead was this laceration?
Up by the hairline.
Was it on the right or left side?
I don't remember.
Was the laceration bleeding?
I don't think so.
Sitting here today, did you observe any other injuries to Ms. Heard that evening that you remember?
No.
If we can go back to Ms. Pennington's witness statement in the United Kingdom, that would be great. So in paragraph 20, Ms. Pennington, you testified that after you saw Ms. Heard, you, quote, called for assistance from a private nurse who was part of the concierge medical service which Johnny and Amber used. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is Erin Barem the private nurse you're referring to here?
Yes.
Do you know approximately at what time you called Ms. Barem?
Evening.
Do you recall Ms. Barem coming over to the penthouses that night as well?
I don't know if she came over that night.
Do you recall Ms. Barem providing any advice or recommendation to you on the phone?
I think she said to maybe not let her go to sleep and to listen to her speech. Keep an eye on her.
And you did that?
Yes.
You testified in paragraph 20 that on December 15th, 2015, you took pictures of Ms. Heard's injuries on your phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you
Well,
send these photographs?
I don't know if it was on my phone or her phone.
You see the third line down, you say with my phone.
Oh, then it was my phone.
Did you alter the photographs in any way, Ms. Pennington?
No.
Do you recall sending the photographs to anyone?
No.
Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes. Amber's face with swelling on her nose, bruising underneath her eyes.
And to confirm, you don't recognize whether you took this photograph or not, right?
I don't know if I took that one.
Okay. I'm going to show you a document that will be marked Pennington Exhibit 3. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
Do you recognize this photograph?
Yeah. Yes.
Let's pull up Pennington Exhibit 6. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
Did you take this photograph?
Yes.
What is this photograph depicting?
The part of her scalp where the hair was ripped out.
You've testified previously that you photographed a big clump of hair on the floor, which was blonde in color and clearly belonged to Amber. Do you remember testifying to that?
Yes, I remember.
Where did you see this clump of hair?
It was in PH4 in the bedroom.
And just to confirm, PH4, is this where Ms. Heard used that penthouse as the closet?
No.
Which penthouse did Ms. Heard use as a closet?
Penthouse 5.
How did you know that the hair clearly belonged to Amber?
Hair had been ripped out of her scalp and it was her color on the floor of her apartment.
But you didn't see the hair get ripped out of her head, right?
Correct.
And so your understanding that this was Ms. Heard's hair that was ripped out of her head was based on what Ms. Heard told you, right?
My understanding that it was Miss Heard's hair was what I saw on her body.
Hey,
and
Betty's
on the
Beauty, good to
floor.
see ya. I'm sorry, Miss Pennington. Was her hair Clairol
And the fact that
number
it had been, quote, ripped out of her head, that was based
L15?
on what Ms. Heard told you, right?
Yes, and common sense.
If we could pull up Pennington Exhibit 7, please. Ms. Pennington, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
Is this the picture of a clump of hair on the floor that you referenced in your prior testimony?
Yes.
Could we see the
Is
picture?
this the picture of a clump of hair on the floor that you referenced in your prior testimony?
Objection vague.
How is that
Yes.
vague?
Did you take this photograph?
Yes.
Did you take it on your phone?
Yes, she is, Betty.
Yes.
And before you took this photograph, did you move the hair in any way?
No.
Okay, so this picture is the clump of hair exactly as you found it, right?
Correct.
And when did you take this photograph?
When I was taking the other photographs,
And you didn't alter this photo in any way, correct?
I did not alter this photo.
You recall
Oh, there we go.
taking a photograph of a wooden platform bed which had a partially broken bed frame?
I do.
And did you photograph the bed just as you found it?
Yes.
You didn't move anything off or onto the bed?
No.
Where was the bed broken, if you remember?
It was a platform bed, and the edge of the platform had like a long shard of wood off the corner, or like off the edge.
So does mine, Sam. And
Where was the broken bed? In which penthouse?
I've never seen
4.
hair fall quite like that.
In which room?
The bedroom.
I'm going to show you a document that will be marked Pennington Exhibit 8. Bears the base number Pennington 5. Do you recognize this photograph, Ms. Pennington?
Yes.
Did you take this photograph?
Yes.
You see that on the left side of what I assume is the mattress and the comforter. There appears to be something on the bed.
Is it possible to zoom in?
I'd like
Sure.
to just take this time to an opportunity to point out about the clump of hair. So in order to pull somebody's hair out by a clump like that, right, you have to have it intertwined in your fingers. So for there to be a clump that's
in the
laying in
picture, there
that
appears to be
neat
something on the bed.
pile seems
Yes.
sus
Is this something that was already there when you found the bed?
I don't remember seeing that before.
It's not something that you put on the bed, right?
No.
And you don't know what that is.
No.
because if you think about it, the person that you're pulling the hair out of would be struggling against
So I
you,
believe you already
snatching them
testified
up
that
by
next
the
day
hair.
Heard what's going on the James Corden show, right?
And so therefore, as you are pulling, they're resisting,
Which
and
testified?
they break away, right?
Which testified?
Hair is going to be
Oh, today.
sprinkled, as it
The
were. There
next
would
day,
be a
yes.
clump, but there would also be more
And you were
hair
with Ms. Bird
around
when she was
the
getting ready
clump.
for the show at her apartment, true?
True.
Also, I
Was this in
noticed
Penthouse 3?
you're very rude today,
Hmm.
Rocky. Also, I noticed that the carpeting. So that is a decent pile carpeting. And because I clean my own home, I know these things. Does there look like there is a bunch of foot marks around the carpeting? indicating a struggle? Because I didn't see that. That's all I wanted to point out. Okay, let's go. It looks, like it's vacuumed on a regular basis
Is Johnny's
and it's not
stylist
matted. So if
and
there was a
also
scuffle,
doing styling for Amber.
I feel like there would be
And who
footprints
is Melanie?
Amber's
or
makeup artist.
marks in the carpeting indicating
And who
movement,
is
I
a
should
deer?
say.
Her Amber's hairstylist.
Do you recall anybody else being there?
No.
Did you hear Miss Heard tell anyone of these people about her injury?
I remember her showing the injuries.
Who did she show the injuries to?
She showed Melanie her lip and Adir the missing hair on her head.
Ms. Pennington, I want to talk to you about Miss Heard's birthday in April of 2016. You remember that after Miss Heard's birthday dinner, you and Miss Heard and some other friends were scheduled to leave for Coachella the day after?
None of us actually know that, Betty.
Yes.
We've all been trying to, hey, Aussie Girl Jen, hey, Chick
So
Tracy.
after the dinner,
We've all been trying to figure that out.
I know
They
you
won't
attended
talk
this,
about
but
it.
after the dinner the next day, when you arrived to the penthouse, you noticed shattered glass on Miss Heard's bedroom floor.
Correct.
Maybe
kind of
it'll get
glass is
asked in this deposition.
I don't know.
You tell where it comes from?
I couldn't tell where it had come from.
Did you notice any other damage in the bedroom?
I believe there's a broken lamp.
Oh, and she
Miss Heard had two
she
dogs
wouldn't
in the house,
elaborate,
correct?
Amelia?
At the time of this?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you recall where the dogs were when you were in the bedroom with Miss Heard on April 22nd, 2016?
In the bed.
Were you concerned about the dogs injuring themselves on the glass?
Yes.
Did she look upset?
When I arrived,
Yes.
she was asleep.
Thanks, babe.
When she woke up, did she look upset to you?
Seems vague, and I
Yes.
would like to know more. Not really, not yet,
What
Chick
made you think
Tracy.
that she was upset or looked upset?
She started crying.
Now let's turn to the events of May 21, 2016. Okay. At some point, did Miss Heard tell you that Mr. Depp wanted to come to the penthouse to get some stuff on May 21st, 2016?
I don't remember what exact day she said that, but she said that.
I'll make the representation to you that we're talking about May 21st, 2016, when Miss Heard alleged that Mr. Depp threw a phone at her. So, do you recall knowing that Mr. Depp was planning to come by the Eastern Columbia building on or about May 21st, 2016 to collect some stuff?
I remember that she told me that he wanted to come over.
Do you remember who was at the penthouse before Mr. Depp came over?
On which, when?
Literally, she just
On May
told
21st,
you.
2016. You were there, obviously, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Heard was there?
Yes.
Was Josh Drew there?
Yes.
Was Elizabeth Mars there?
Yes.
Were you preparing for a jewelry show the next day that you were doing, Ms. Pennington?
I was preparing.
Was anybody assisting you prepare for that show?
Yes.
And you were in Penthouse 5 on May 21st, 2016, preparing for that show?
We were in and out of Penthouse 5 and Penthouse 1.
At some point, Ms. Heard
I have a
left
feeling when all of this is over, we
Penthouse
will hear.
1 and Penthouse 5. And she went to Penthouse 3, correct? At some point that evening?
Yes.
Sometime after Ms. Heard left to go back to Penthouse 3, you received a text message from her, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember where you were when you received this message?
I shall make it my
PH1,
mission to find
Penthouse
this
1.
video. Thanks, Sarah.
Where was Mr. Drew?
With me in PH1.
And where was Miss Mars?
She was either with us in PH1 or in PH5.
PH1 or PH5?
And do you remember what you were doing when you received this message?
No.
What did you do after you received this message from Ms. Heard?
How you living now, Miss Pennington? You in any
I-
PHs?
Went straight over to PH3.
Could you remember when you went straight over to page 3, Mr. Depp, Ms. Heard yelling?
Sorry, will you repeat just the beginning of the question? You broke up a bit.
When you went to Penthouse 3, could you hear Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard yelling?
Yes.
Do you recall what they were saying to each other?
No.
You know, I find that
Do you
very
recall the door
interesting
being
as
locked
well,
to Penthouse 3
Max,
when you got there?
The door was always locked.
because to me, frankly, the behavior
Did you
is
have a key?
no, babe. Oh my gosh, Shmita. Usually, you're absolutely right. And this living situation
the
is
key to open the
indicative of
door?
the opposite,
Yes.
as if Amber is replacing Johnny Depp's longtime friends with
I
her
believe you
crew.
previously testified that the penthouses 3, 4, and 5 were all connected. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so you can get from penthouse 5 to penthouse 3 without going out the main hallway. Is that right?
Correct.
When you entered penthouse 3, only Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were in the penthouse, right?
Yes.
Do you know where Mr. Depp was standing?
Thank you, Sarah. I'm
Yes.
writing that down right
was he?
now. And I'll be
In
looking into
the
that for
living
tonight.
room.
I
What part of the
appreciate
living
that
room?
so much. You guys are great.
The sort of like the entry, like the in between from the kitchen to the living room.
And where was Ms. Heard?
On the other side of the living room.
Was she by the couch?
Yes.
And were they approximately how far apart?
8 feet, 10 feet.
Correct, Sugar Beet.
And they were both standing when you first came in?
Yes.
What's the first thing you remember, Ms. Pennington, when you entered the penthouse?
While Rocky thinks about this, I'd just like to also point out that That's an excellent
The first
point.
thing I remember was
Hold on.
just hearing them. I don't remember what they were saying, but it was a verbal argument, and
You didn't, Sarah. You never waste my time. I'll find
then he
it.
continued to yell, and I went over to her and then stepped between him.
Where was Mr. Depp when you stepped between them?
The sofa is an L in the corner of the living room. The coffee table fit into the L shape. Amber was on the far side. Johnny was on the other side of the L, with the coffee table between them.
At some point, Mr. Depp's security team came in. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that was Jerry Judge and Sean Betts?
Yes.
Where was Mr. Depp standing when they entered the apartment?
In the space between the living room and the kitchen.
And you were with Ms. Heard on the sofa?
Yes.
Mr. Depp eventually left Penthouse 3 with his security. Is that correct?
Eventually, yes.
And he left you and Ms. Heard in Penthouse 3?
Yes.
From the moment you entered House 3 until Mr. Depp left, did you see Mr. Depp touch Ms. Heard?
I didn't see him touch her.
Did you see him throw anything at her?
I didn't see him throw anything at her.
What did you do after Mr. Depp left Penthouse 3?
We took Amber to Penthouse 1.
Is that where Mr. Drew and Miss Mars were?
I don't know where they were
Who's we?
specifically. I don't know if they were in different places or which apartment they were in.
What did you do once you and Miss Heard got back to Penthouse 1?
Come on, Rocky. What did you do?
She wanted her purse. So I asked Josh to go find her purse in PH3.
Did you observe any property damage in any of the penthouses?
Yes.
What damage did you observe in Penthouse 3?
He had smashed a bunch of on his way out. I saw this. On his way out, he had knocked over a bunch of items that were on the kitchen island, fruit baskets and bottles.
I don't blame you, Trick
and things
Tracy,
like
babe.
that.
It's late where you are. Thanks for
Yeah.
being here.
That was the main damage in PH3.
What damage did you see in PH5?
In PH5, there were photos that had been smashed off the wall, items that I had been working on the table that had been thrown against the wall.
You also observed injuries to Ms. Heard's face, correct?
Yeah, when did the photo shoot begin, Rocky? Come on.
Yes.
What did you see?
Her cheek was red and swelling.
Oh, it was? I didn't notice any swelling.
Do you
Okay.
recall when you noticed her cheek?
No.
But you didn't see how this occurred, right?
I didn't see.
At some point, 2 police officers arrived. Is that correct?
At 2 points, 2 police
Correct,
officers
Sam.
arrived.
Did you see
Before the first set of police officers
how the damage
showed
was
up,
caused?
Had you cleaned up any of the damage in penthouse 3 or 5?
I don't remember.
Amber says you did.
Where were you when the police officers arrived? The first set?
Also, nice
PH3.
point, Amelia. That's correct.
Did you see Ms. Hurd speak to the officer? The first set.
Yes.
Did you see the officers enter penthouse 3?
This seems like a fairly significant
around
situation that Rocky Pennington sort of witnessed, and it seems like she's really struggling to remember. You would think that
Yes.
she would remember.
Did they enter house 5, the first set of police officers?
I mean, y'all called the popo for Pete's sake.
I'm not sure.
Is it your testimony, Ms. Pennington, that the first set of police officers saw the damage you allege Mr. Depp caused in penthouse?
I don't know what they saw, but there was damage there.
And another set of 2 officers came later in that night. Is that correct?
Correct.
Between the first set of officers leaving and the second set of officers arriving, how much time had passed?
You just need
I
to
don't remember exactly.
give the answer. You don't need to
Do you have an approximation?
illustrate
How
it
much time had passed? An
by a
hour,
pause.
2, less than that?
Less than 3.
Less than 3.
3 hours? Less than 3 hours?
Less than 3.
In this time, do you recall cleaning up any of the damage to penthouse 3 or 5?
I don't recall.
Do you recall Ms. Hurd speaking to either of the second set of officers?
No, I don't remember if she did or not.
Did these officers, the second set, look around penthouse 3?
I can't guess, so I don't know.
Ms. Pennington, have you ever personally witnessed Mr. Depp physically attack Ms. Hurd?
Yeah, can you be specific to physically attacked?
Did you ever witness Mr. strike Ms. Hurd?
No.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp throw anything at Ms. Hurd?
I never witnessed him throw anything at her, around her, yes.
The question is, did you ever witness Mr. Depp throw anything at Ms. Hurd?
No.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp kick Ms. Hurd?
Hey, Callie, good to see you.
No.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp physically injure Ms. Hurd, cause her an injury?
I didn't see it.
So that's a no, right?
I didn't see it.
Your Honor, at this point, I start asking Ms. Pennington some questions. So we'll play that, but maybe we just approach to
Sure.
just get straight on some exhibits. please.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what I'm okay, so Max, let me answer this one first. No witnesses can be compelled to testify in person, apparently in this trial. How that works, I'm not exactly sure because it's different in a civil case versus a criminal case, and apparently they are given the option. Okay, and the other thing that I want to address is why her lawyer is there. So, see, here's the thing. This would be technically, I believe, um, Rocky Pennington's second deposition. So, I believe the first deposition was given at the for the divorce proceedings. Okay, and this would be her second deposition, and it's actually a good idea to have your lawyer there because because nobody see if you're in a deposition, right, and you're not a party to it, meaning it's not your attorneys that are deposing you, then none of the attorneys have your best interest at heart because you're not their clients. So they're not looking out for you. So it's advantageous to have your own legal representation there. Plus, add to the fact that this is her second deposition, and depositions are taken as sworn testimony under oath. Perjury. So, she needs to have her lawyer there looking out for her best interest. Her attorney is familiar with the answers that she gave in her deposition, as far as the divorce proceedings go. And so I'm pretty
Your
much believe that's why she's there, or why the attorney is there, why she has her attorney there. Sorry.
We ready to start?
Yes, yes, sorry.
And the thing about Io, I did watch a little bit of his testimony, and
Now, I understand that you've testified a number of times about
oh
some of the
my, what
events
happened
that we
here?
touched on
Okay.
yesterday, right?
Yes.
Has there ever been anything in any of those prior sworn statements
I'll come
or
back to it.
testimony that you've given that has prevented you from telling the truth?
No.
And is all of your prior sworn testimony, including the testimony you gave yesterday, true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Are you here today on behalf of one side or the other? And by that, I mean on behalf of Amber or on behalf of Johnny?
No.
Would you consider yourself adverse or hostile to either party?
No.
Any other time that you can remember?
Not specifically, no.
Was there a name for what you described as Mr. Depp's different self?
Yes.
What was that name?
We called it the monster.
Who is we?
Thank you. Get it.
All
Ask
of
her.
us. Me, Johnny, Amber, and anyone else in the inner circle that was privy to the private things that would happen.
How do you know that Johnny called it the monster?
He named it that.
You heard him refer to this other version of himself as the monster directly?
Either heard or saw it written in a text.
Did you receive texts from Mr. Depp referring to this other version of himself as the monster?
I can't remember specifically any of them.
But you do recall hearing or reading Mr. Depp directly referring to himself as the monster?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
She asked for my help.
And over the course of your relationship, when Amber needed your help, you tried to be there for her, right?
Yes.
What do you mean by scary?
I was scared for Amber. I was sad for her, and I was also sad for Johnny. Because he is my friend too. And I really wanted them to be able to get it together.
Why were you scared for Amber?
It could be very unpredictable. And she didn't have a lot of self-preservation.
That's interesting because Amber testified yesterday that he was very predictable in that there were behaviors that
What specifically,
that seemed to
what type of harm were
form
you
a
worried
pattern
about
preceding his drug usage.
In the beginning, I wasn't worried. Towards the end, when the physical abuse was more evident, I was worried. I was worried for her physical safety. I was worried that when he turned, he might accidentally do something that was worse than he ever intended.
When you say, talk about abuse, is this signs of abuse that you personally observed?
Can you explain what you mean specifically by that?
Did you observe physical effects on Amber of that abuse?
Yes.
You testified a little bit yesterday about an incident between Johnny and Amber that took place in Hicksville. You remember that?
Yes.
Tell me as best you can everything that you remember about that.
We were sitting around the campfire. I don't remember who the larger group was. And Amber and Kelly Sue were sitting on a chair together, hugging. And Johnny came up and said, "Get your hands off my woman." And it was surprising because it was a very benign, two friends sitting on the same chair, hanging out. And it was also surprising because Johnny had been hanging out with everybody in a friendly way, and a switch flipped when that happened. And Amber got up, went to go comfort Johnny, and then they went back to their trailer.
How would you describe Johnny's tone when he said, "Get off my woman"?
At first, I thought it was a joke. I thought he was kidding because it was so unexpected from the way that the rest of the night had been going. And then at some point, I think Amber realized that it was not a joke and got up to diffuse the situation.
Did you perceive Kelly Sue to be acting inappropriately in any way toward Miss Heard?
No,
Had you seen when you said a switch flipped in Mr. Depp? That was your testimony, right?
just now.
Yeah, just now.
Yeah.
Was it surprising to you to see?
No,
And why not?
he switched sometimes.
And what do you mean by that when you say he switched?
Johnny would be acting
Hey,
like his
Jody is cool.
wonderful self for a certain portion of an occasion where people were hanging out, or sometimes just privately at home. And I never knew what caused it. The switch would happen to where he would either disappear or go somewhere off by himself, or his mood would change to something darker. And yeah.
So the monster that was precipitated
recall,
by the drugs
and
and
we'll
or
get to-
alcohol, right? That's what they're all
specific instances a
testifying
little bit.
caused
When
the
you say his
monster to
mood would
come
change
out.
to something darker.
So
Do you
they
remember any
plan a
specific
trip
examples
where
of
drugs and alcohol are
times
going
that
to
you
be the main
witnessed
event
when
of
his
the
mood
weekend. I'm
changed to
out.
something
Be
darker?
right back.
Can't remember at this moment specific times when it would happen. Generally, he would go away from where the rest of the people were. Amber would follow to comfort. Sometimes they wouldn't come back, sometimes they would.
And tell us about the next morning at Hicksville, what you saw and observed.
I went to the trailer to go knock on the door. I think they had already left, though. I went in and saw the disarray.
Describe the disarray as best you can.
Like I said yesterday, the light fixtures had been knocked off. Things were strewn about the trailer, cushions off the couch bank.
Over the course of you've known Miss Heard since 2003, right?
Yes.
Have you ever known her to knock light fixtures off a wall?
No.
Have you ever known her to throw pillows and cushions off couches?
No.
Have you ever known her to get in a rage and destroy property?
No.
Have you ever known her to threaten someone's life?
No.
What did Amber tell you? Did you ever have a conversation with Miss Heard about what happened in that trailer in Hicksville?
Yes.
I'd like to fast forward a little bit in time, Miss Pennington, to an episode that we talked about yesterday to some extent. Do you remember being with Amber after something that happened the day before she went on the James Corden show in December 2015?
Yes.
what do you remember? And I know this is painful and emotional, but give me your best recollection of what you recall from that time period.
From the night before,
Were you with Amber the night before the James Corden appearance?
yes,
And were you with her the day of the James Corden appearance?
yes,
And did you observe Miss Heard and Miss Heard's residence the day before the James Corden appearance and the day of the James Corden appearance?
yes.
So with that, tell me everything that you can remember, starting with the day before. And I may interrupt you and ask you to clarify certain things, but that's everything to remember.
So she asked me to come over to her residence, PH3 or PH5. I don't remember which one I entered. And she was very upset. Her face was red, swollen. The hair had been ripped out of her head. I went through all of the penthouses. She didn't cancel. I don't think I even slept that night, watching her just to make sure she didn't.
Is that because you were worried she had a concussion?
Yes.
Why did you tell her that you were going to go take pictures throughout the penthouses?
Why wouldn't I?
Ms. Pennington, I'm gonna you saw a few selected pictures yesterday. I'm gonna show you a number of pictures today that we need to go through, and I'll ask you some questions about them. Okay?
Are you able to see Exhibit 15?
Yeah, I can see it. Can you, Ms. Pennington?
Yes.
Ms. Pennington, does this picture truly and accurately depict Miss Heard's appearance on December 2015, during the night that you just discussed?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not you took this picture?
Well, the
do not.
struggle I'm having about it is if it is the substances, drugs,
You were with Miss
alcohol,
Heard
the
that evening
combination,
after the incident?
why continue to
What room
supply
was this
them?
taken
It's
in?
different if he goes out and procures them on
This
his own
is
behind her
the
back.
bathroom
That's understandable, but
of,
why
Johnny
procure
and
them?
Amber's bedroom in PH3.
That's my problem. Yeah, drugs and alcohol are great party favors for
What,
people who can handle
what
it.
injuries, if any, do you observe on Miss Heard in this picture?
Her right eye has a mark and a bruise. Her nose is swollen.
That's going to be
There's
clipped.
bruising on her left eye as well.
And Exhibit 16 is up.
Drugs are bad,
What is this
okay?
picture of Miss
Don't do
Pennington?
drugs.
There's a picture of Amber's face with bruising and a mark on her right eye, swelling on her nose, bruising on the left eye, in the same bathroom.
And when was this picture taken?
I assume the same night.
Is that the night in December 2015? that you've been testifying about for the last few minutes?
Yeah.
Do you see behind Miss Heard's left ear, there's a picture on the wall and then a writing a note above the picture?
Yes.
What is that note signed? If you can tell.
Steve.
Oh my
To your
gosh.
understanding, who is
You
Steve?
just had me remember something. Hang
Johnny.
on just a second. I'm going to pause her real quick. Thank you for saying that.
And what does it say right above?
Remember how we've been talking for days about these pictures, right? You know what I don't see? Ladies, see how this is the perfect pause. Look at Amber's eyelashes. Okay? What happens, girls, when you're wearing mascara and you cry? What happens to the mascara? It runs, right? But more than that, because you can clean that up, right? What happens to your eyelashes when you cry when you're wearing mascara? I'm going to wait because I know there's a delay, so I'm going to wait for you girls to answer me. Yes, the mascara does drip down your face. That's correct. But that can be wiped off. That can be cleaned up. But what happens to your eyelashes, girls, when you wear mascara and you cry? Your mascara clumps on your eyelashes. And if you will look at Amber Heard, okay, you can tell that she's wearing eye makeup in this picture. Her eyes are also not red. That's another excellent point. In fact, she has eyeliner on underneath and on the waterline that is not disturbed in any way, shape, or form. Her makeup in this picture, her eye makeup specifically, is 100% intact. Now, what I will say is this. There is makeup, and there is a technique to applying makeup when you're on a set, when they know that you're going to be crying, and they, you know what I'm saying, they apply the makeup in a way that they don't have to continue to reapply it. It just requires a touch up. Okay. But this is not what was occurring that day. Okay. Amber was at home just chilling, right? She wasn't on she hadn't come from a set. She hadn't come from a shoot. This is just her at home, basically, for lack of a better term, her everyday look, right? For makeup. And yet she has been in a dust up, in a fight, in a physical altercation, and her eye makeup is impeccable. Her eyelashes are separate the way that they should be when you apply mascara. I'm telling you guys, there is something bad wrong with these pictures. Okay, let me let Rocky finish testifying.
That.
Says you're Steve.
What's the line above that say?
Eternally.
Is this an
Something
eyesight
always
test,
up,
Rottenborn?
3 exclamation points. Love you eternally, your Steve.
And Steve, in that note, refers to the same man that you understood to have inflicted these injuries on Miss Heard, correct?
Yes.
And does this picture truly and accurately reflect what you observed on Miss Heard in that night in December 2015?
Partially.
When you said partially, what do you mean by that?
You can't see the rest of the injuries.
What other injuries are you referring to?
The hair being pulled out.
Exhibit 17 is up.
What is this a picture of, Miss Pennington?
Amber's face turned at a slight profile with a bruise on her eye, swelling on her nose.
And when was this picture taken?
Appears to be the same night, the moment of the previous two pictures.
Does this picture fairly and accurately depict, at least in part, Miss Heard's appearance on that night?
Yes.
Exhibit 18 is up.
What is this document, Miss Pennington?
It's a
That's
photo
in the doc-
of Amber's face with two black eyes and swollen bottom lip.
Did you take this
Swollen
photo?
nose. I don't remember.
You said a swollen nose.
Yes.
Does this picture fairly and accurately depict, at least in part, Miss Heard's appearance on that night in December 15, 2015?
Yes.
This is Rocky Pennington,
Did you
Keschik.
take pictures of Miss Heard that night?
It looks
Yes.
like she's wearing makeup, period.
You believe that you
Coolest
took this
reviews.
picture?
Eye makeup,
I don't know.
for sure. I can't. It does appear that she's wearing foundation as
in
her
any event, it
neck
accurately
is a
reflects
slightly
what
lighter
Miss
color
Heard-
than her
Miss Heard's
face.
appearance from that evening.
Yes.
Exhibit 19 is up.
And I'm sorry this is so hard, Miss Pennington. We just need to get through as
Yeah.
the best we can. What is this picture?
This is Amber's face turned a profile, showing more of her bottom bloody lip and her right bruised eye.
And what night does this, or when does this show Amber?
It appears to be the same night and the same series of photos as before.
Where was this picture taken, if you know?
And, it's in the bedroom, facing she's sitting on the bed and it's facing the windows.
Was anyone with you and Amber that night after you came over?
When you say the first one, coolest reviews, if you're looking at the photo, are you talking about the photo on the
I
left
don't
or the
think so,
photo on
no.
the right?
So is it fair to assume that either you or Amber took this picture?
Yes.
Does it look like Miss Heard took this picture?
No,
Do you recall taking this picture?
I took a lot of pictures. It would be, yes,
Does Miss Heard's lower lip look like it's just chapped?
no, it does not.
Does it look like she just has a cold sore?
It does not look like a cold sore.
Exhibit 20 is up.
What is this a picture of?
A
Ms.
little bit it
Pennington?
does, but okay.
This is a picture of Amber's hairline, a scratch injury on the hairline, and my thumb holding the hair back so that you can see it.
Does this picture depict marks that you saw on Amber on the night in December 2015 that we've been discussing?
Or the next morning.
And the night they're
One or the other.
discussing, this is the night that she was
Yeah.
essayed on the train, right? Isn't that
And,
what that is about?
um,
The December one?
Lucas,
Or
if you could just go back.
hold on,
really
let me look
quickly
at
to the
this
last
up.
Picture,
because I'm
please.
curious.
Pennington 19. I may have asked you this, Ms. Pennington, but I just want to make clear for the record. Does this picture fairly and accurately depict Ms. Heard's appearance on that night in December 15, 2015 that we've been discussing?
Yes.
Exhibit 21 is up.
What is this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is a close-up picture of the side of Amber's nose and mouth. She has,
Did you take? Go ahead. Go ahead.
she has swelling and an injury on her bottom lip.
Are there any other injuries you observe in this picture?
Okay,
can
so what
see,
happened the night before is that
You can see at the top
Depp
of the
allegedly
photo,
headbutted her and tried to
bruising on
suffocate her
eye
with a
and
pillow,
a small mark underneath her,
and that he punched her.
underneath her bottom eyelid.
Did Ms. Heard, did she typically have that small mark underneath her eye or bruising around her eyes?
She did not usually have that small mark or bruising underneath her eyes.
Did she typically have injuries to her lip?
Sometimes.
And over the course of your friendship with Ms. Heard during the time that she was in a relationship with Mr. Depp, how often would you all communicate?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
During the time that Ms. Heard was in a relationship with Mr. Depp, how often would you communicate with Ms. Heard? Like every day?
When she was filming, less. When she was home, all the time.
And you just testified, I believe it wasn't the only incident in which you observed injuries to Ms. Heard's face or lips, correct?
Correct.
Were there any other times that you observed injuries
Okay,
to Ms. Heard's
Koulis.
face or lips?
Heard told the jury
Yes.
yesterday how
Exhibit
Depp
22 is
repeatedly
up.
punched her head and
What is this a
dragged her
picture
by
of,
the
Ms.
hair
Pennington?
on the night of December 15th.
Picture is hair pulled back to show
And this is when she said that she thought he
the
broke her
abrasion
nose.
on the scalp where hair has been removed.
Whose head is that?
That's Amber's head.
So that was her testimony.
Was this, do you know when this picture was taken?
Either the night of the event or the next day.
Yes, Max, that's exactly
And
when
by
it
event,
is.
You're referring to the event in December of 2015 that we've been talking about.
Yes.
Do you recall taking this picture, Ms. Pennington?
So
of
my
Ms.
bad
Heard's
about the
scalp?
essay. That's not included in this incident.
Does this picture fairly and accurately depict the top of Ms. Heard's scalp? During the day of or at the day after the December 2015 incident that you've been giving testimony about?
Yes.
Your head is also very vascular.
Exhibit 23 is up.
It's, even if you get a
this
cut
a
that
picture
doesn't
of,
require
Miss Pennington?
stitches, it bleeds
It's
a
a
lot.
picture of a
I'm just,
clump of Amber's hair
her scalp doesn't even
on
look
the black
irritated.
carpet in the bedroom, pH4, with my finger there to show the scale of the hair.
Did you take this picture?
Yes.
When did you take this picture?
Either the night of the event, the occurrence that we've been talking about.
In December 2015?
Yes.
And how did you know that that was Amber's hair?
Hair had been ripped out of her head. This is the color of her hair. It's her home.
And this, you said, was in the bedroom of Penthouse 5?
4.
Kez,
Have you ever
should
known
probably
Miss Heard
watch
to pull out clumps of her own hair?
yesterday's testimony
No.
in the morning
Miss Heard ever
that I did.
paint on bruises or use makeup to make it appear as if she had a bruise when in fact she didn't?
Because I don't really know how to
your
answer
knowledge?
this.
No, the opposite.
I don't want to influence you.
What do you mean when you say the opposite?
I want you to watch the testimony on your own
She
and then
often
make your
had
own
to
determination.
cover
Know what I mean?
bruises and injuries on her face with makeup.
Did you see her cover bruises on her face with makeup?
Yes.
Can we pull up the document titled December 2015 ALH?
Bro, I'm going to
28
scoop,
B, please?
make
is
this
this
go a
picture, Miss
little
Pennington?
faster because
Is a picture of Amber.
want to get to be
She
caught
has
up with them.
mark underneath her right eye. She's her coat and her shirt on. They're in the kitchen. She's in the kitchen of PH3.
Do you know when or approximately when this picture was taken?
The day following the December event or the day after, maybe. I don't know exactly when.
And did you take this picture?
I don't know.
Does it fairly and accurately depict Amber's appearance on the day you described?
On one of the days following, yes.
Exhibit 25 is up.
Do you know what this is a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is a picture of the nightstand on the right side of the bed in Johnny and Amber's bedroom in PH3. It has a lamp that's fallen down, a book of rolling papers, half a lemon, a plastic coffee mug of Infinitum Nihil, which is Johnny's production company, a bottle of Tums, a bottle of tea, broken glass, and a small blue book on the floor that I can't make out what that is.
Did you ever know Amber to break glass next to her bed?
No.
What's your knowledge about Mr. Depp's tendency to break things made of glass?
My knowledge is that I saw him do it once, and then I saw the aftermath of him breaking glass many times.
And on that evening in December 2015, did you see that we've been discussing? Did you see broken glass around the residence?
Yes.
Let's go to the next picture, December 2015 ALH.
Good night, Kes
underscore
Chick.
509.
Thanks for coming, babe.
You've seen this picture before. What's this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is a picture of the platform bed in the bedroom of penthouse 4. The edge of the platform bed has a shard of wood that has broken off onto the floor.
It's so difficult because they keep switching
You take this
around to
picture?
different incidents in
Yes.
time, and it's
When did you
hard
take
to
it?
keep it all together.
Either the night of the event or the next day.
And when you say event, are you referring to, what are you referring to?
But if I'm
The
remembering
December
correctly,
15th event that we've been speaking about.
okay,
You
so
said December
this
15. You mean December 2015?
this
Yes,
December
sorry,
2015 event that
2015.
they've been talking about the
Where is
whole
this bed?
time
In the
is
residence?
they were
This is in
supposed to
the
keep Amber Heard
Penthouse
up
4, it's the middle
all night
penthouse between the
to
main
keep
residence,
her,
PH3,
keep an eye on her for
Amber's
the
Closet,
concussion.
PH5.
That
This is
makeup
the,
doesn't look
one
like
of the rooms that
yesterday's
you walk
makeup,
through to get to
especially if she were
go
crying.
through the upper story of the homes.
I don't know. Something just doesn't sit right
Have
with
you ever
me.
known Miss Heard to destroy a bed frame?
No.
Have you ever known, go ahead, sorry.
No.
Have you ever known Miss Heard to destroy furniture generally?
No.
Ms.
Have you ever
Pennington,
known Miss Heard to destroy souls,
in all the photos that you
destroy movies? Oh, sorry.
have taken of evidence or incidents or the aftermath of incidents between Amber and Johnny, have you ever done anything to alter those photos or
They're basically
make them
going
appear
over
to
this
fix something
December
that wasn't actually there,
2015
wasn't actually
incident
real?
and showing pictures. And
No.
when they go
I want to talk
to
about
the
the day of
first
the
break,
Late Show. When I say that, do
um,
you understand I'm referring to Amber's appearance on the James Corden show?
I want to, there's some
Yes.
stuff I want to
The
talk
Late Show
about.
with James Corden. Were you with Amber when she got ready for her appearance on that show?
Yes.
Who else was present?
A dear that who's her hairstylist, Melanie, her makeup artist, and Samantha, her stylist.
Did were you there when her hair and makeup was being styled or put on before her appearance on James Corden?
Yes.
Did you see anyone paint on a wound on her lip or put makeup on her face to make it appear that there was a wound on her lip? Did you
Why
observe,
would they be putting makeup
anyone
on to make
dripping
it
clumps of her
appear
hair out of her
as
head?
a wound on her lip if they were getting
No.
her ready to
Ms.
go
Pennington, did you,
on the show? Come
did
on
you-
now.
to the extent that it's alleged that Miss Heard had no injuries when she went on the James Corden show, what is your reaction to that?
My reaction is that that is a false assessment or statement.
And what's the basis for that testimony?
Because I saw injuries on her body from the time directly after they happened throughout the next night, the next day, and as they continued to heal.
In the time that you spent with Johnny, did he ever express a similar sentiment that he was screw up or fuck up, in his words?
Yes.
And what did you tell me what you can remember about the instances when he said that and what your understanding was of what he meant?
My
So the
understanding
apologies
was that
are
he
acknowledgments of him being guilty.
was sorry.
But Amber's
apologetic
apologies are
and-
not an acknowledgement of her
For
her
what?
doing anything,
For
but
his
they are
behavior.
trying to, it's her trying to repair
When you
and
say behavior,
reconcile.
what are you referring to?
Okay.
Verbal arguments, physical arguments.
And that was what he made clear to you in things that he said to you. Is that right?
What he made clear to me in our conversations was that he was very sorry and that he was working to get clean and get better. and that he was asking for forgiveness and trying to think that he was going to get better.
Did you ever see him get better?
Yeah.
When?
A lot of times.
But did you ever see him get better permanently?
No.
Your Honor, at this point, we start questioning Ms. Pennington about May 21st. We're happy to keep going, but if you wanted to take a break, I think we're about halfway through this volume.
Okay, let's go ahead and take our morning recess for 15 minutes. Again, do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research, okay? All right, let's just come back at 11 o'clock then, okay?
Thank you,
All
Your
right, thank
Honor.
you.
Okay. So basically, what's been going on is a lot of testimony on from Rocky Pennington about what she witnessed after the December 2015 incident. Now, there was a fight between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and Amber alleges that Johnny Depp punched her repeatedly in the face. She thought he broke her nose. He tried to smother her with a pillow. And Rocky Pennington can't remember which of the she acknowledges that she took some photographs, but can't remember on some other ones whether she took them or not. And what I was commenting on is, let me show you because I'll just rewind it real quick while we wait. Let me just a sec. Because this is the picture I want you guys to see. Give me just a second while I find it. Not this one. This one. Okay. Ah, cripes. Okay. Now, what Rocky testified to is that this is either the same evening or the next. This one, I'm pretty sure. Hey, Mrs. O, that she says is that evening. Okay. This would be the evening the incident occurred. The following evening, she would have been on the James Corbin show. Okay. So what I want you guys to do here is there's a better, let me find it, because there is a portion of this where they take her out of the frame and just, okay, this is perfect right here. All right. Now, remember what has occurred. Okay. I'll read it to you. I'm going to give you guys a little, I'm going to bring in some Camille right now. Okay. So let me tell you what she testified to. This was December 15th, 2016. She said that he told her, quote, "You really want to go now, tough guy," before punching her. She said, quote, "I look him right in the eyes. It was a really still moment." He said, "You want to go again, tough guy?" I looked right up at his face. He balled up his fist, leaned back, headbutted me square in the nose. Instantly, I felt searing pain. It's one of the few memories I have of physical pain, searing pain. Depp dragged her by the hair into a neighboring apartment, leaving chunks laying on all over the floor, lying all over the floor. He got on top of her with a pillow, with her face in a pillow, and was repeatedly beating her. Heard said he's trying to hold me with his knee on my back, and he's punching me with a closed fist repeatedly. I thought, basic. So this was according to her, a very brutal attack. Okay. And these pictures are taken, I mean, not like immediately afterwards, right? But at some point in that during that evening, okay? Because Rocky has testified that she was staying up with Amber to for concussion check, okay? But what I want you guys to look at, you'll have to probably close the chat and make it big if you're on your phone, or go, is her eyelashes in this picture, okay? Now, what I will say is this. It appears, right, that she says that he hit her in the nose, okay? And she thought that she broke her nose. So what I would say is that obviously she's cleaned her face up to some extent, because if blood was bu- um um why don't we do that tonight, Coolest Reviews? Because I do have questions, but I can't think of anything right off the top of my head right now. And so let's do it tonight if you can, if you're available, or we can just schedule it. Okay. So obviously she's cleaned her face up, right? But if you keep watching, let me just push play. I'm going to play it, but I'm going to mute it, because there's an even better part, and I'm having a little bit of trouble finding it. It's after before this, though. There it is, right here. All right. She's clearly wearing eye makeup in this picture. This is a close-up. And the reason why it's a close-up, you're not actually supposed to be paying attention to anything that's on Amber's face. She's actually testifying about the note behind her. Okay. So, my point is that she's been in this fight for her life. Those are her words. That's what she testified to. Okay. So you would imagine, right, that if he hit her in the nose and she thought her nose broke, right, that there would be blood, right? And since there's no active bleeding in any of these pictures, one can surmise that she's probably splashed cold water on her face. She's probably if you're okay, Coolest Reviews, right? Um, that's fine, whatever. We'll figure it out. Anyway, so she's crying, she's in the fight of her life, but her freaking eye makeup is impeccable. She clearly has mascara on. She has eyeliner at the waterline of her eye. She is wearing shadow. Her brows look great. Her brows look great. All the things, right? And us girls, we know, because we've all cried before, and we've all cried when we're wearing makeup. We've all cried when we're wearing mascara. Now, I can let go of the streaks of mascara running down her face because there isn't any blood. So evidently she's cleaned her face up, right? And her eyelashes are not clumpy, not the bottom lashes and not the top lashes. And this is where I'm having a struggle. I'm not saying that there are not injuries to her face in this picture. But what I am saying is the injuries in on her face in this picture do not look like injuries she sustained from being punched repeatedly in the face. That's what I'm saying. And see, these are the tiny little details that in my opinion, are very, very important because in my opinion, the best way to look at this case is to take the people and the emotion out of it and just focus on the words that are the testimony, the words that are coming out of the people's mouths that are alleged witnesses to these, right, situations, the people that were there, the people that took the pictures, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And the fact of the matter is, in my opinion, their testimony does not match the physical evidence. That's all I'm saying. I wasn't there. I cannot say for certain whether Johnny Depp ever hit her or not, or whether she was abused or not. What I can say is that the evidence, the photographic evidence that has been presented in this case to back up the witness testimony does not match. That's what I'm saying. That's the problem I'm having. The other problem I'm having is that people are testifying that the drugs and the alcohol are what causes the monster in Johnny Depp to come out. So my problem is, why is anyone in Amber's circle participating in drugs and alcohol with Johnny Depp? It's one thing if Johnny Depp is going out and getting his own drugs and alcohol. He is a grown man. He has free will and he can do what he wants. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is planning a vacation in Hicksville where the sole purpose and the sole intent is to do drugs. And I'm not even judging for them doing the drugs. I'm judging for, why would you feed the monster? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. That's what doesn't make sense to me. That's what I'm having a hard time believing. You're scared of the monster. So what's your solution for the fear? You feed the monster. You encourage the monster to come out. You tempt the monster, because basically that's what it breaks down to, quite frankly. That's what it's like. It's like in the Avengers, right? When they maybe the Avengers is not the right one. I think it's Thor Ragnarok. And there's been other time. I mean, there's been other, basically trying to get the Hulk to come out after Bruce Banner has put him away. Right? Why? If the Hulk can't be, hey, Kathy. Good to see you. Yeah, like if you're scared of the Hulk, right? Why would you do things? And I'm not talking about behaviors. I'm not talking about words. I'm talking about the drugs and the alcohol. Why would you lure the Hulk out by giving Banner drugs and alcohol? That's my problem. If you don't like, I am personally, this is just my personal opinion. If I was in a relationship with somebody who had substance abuse issues, okay, would I still, and I participated and I was a dabbler in drugs and alcohol, okay, would I stop dabbling? No, I probably wouldn't, because everybody is responsible for themselves. But let me tell you what I would not do. I would not dabble in front of the person who has substance and alcohol abuse issues. That's what I wouldn't do. At least for that, especially if they wanted to get sober because it was causing a problem between us, right, in our relationship, which is what Amber Heard has testified to and what Johnny Depp has testified to, that the drugs and the alcohol were a problem and a deal breaker for Amber. So if I still wanted to dabble, I would do it on my own time, and I would be supportive of my partner who's trying to get clean and sober. And I would not come around my partner in any state of inebriation, whether that be drunk, whether it be hungover, whether it would be coming down, or whether it would be straight being fucked up on drugs. I would completely stay away from my partner if that were the case. And she did not do that. She was like, "You're the one with the problem. Too bad, so sad. I'm going to continue to do me, and I'm going to continue to do me right in front of you." And that's an issue. And not exactly, Sarah. And not only did she tell him that she wouldn't care about the joint for him, she asked him to bring alcohol. But more than that, in Australia, upon her arrival, she had requests for him. Now, this is the thing about that. This is what is this is why I find that personally like reprehensible. Okay, I'm not judging her for doing drugs, but how do you procure illegal drugs, right? You have to go and be around, you have to go to a drug dealer, right? And is it not possible that in the act of being around the drug dealer would make you want to just casually mention, "Hey, I'm here to get some MDMA from a girl," right? And you happen to have some coke on you? You know what I'm saying? When you visit a shop, you're there for a specific item, right? But that doesn't keep you from looking around at the other items in the shop and potentially buying something that you were not specifically there to get. Happens in the grocery store all the time. Why do you think they have the impulse buys in the checkout line? Because they know yo ass going to be standing there for a minute. And it's no different. So why would you ask your husband, who is struggling with drugs and alcohol, to get you drugs, knowing that you're putting him in the pathway of a drug dealer? It makes no kind of logical, reasonable, rational sense. She had situational deal breakers. She was flexible on the deal breakers. They were deal breakers when she deemed them to be deal breakers. She would encourage him, and as soon as he did it, it was almost like a test. He did it, and then she'd admonish him and punish him. Exactly, Sarah, exactly. She fed the Hulk. Encouraged the Hulk to come out, and then when the Hulk came out, she would get mad. And then when the Hulk went away, then she'd yell at Banner for letting the Hulk come out, as if, I've considered doing drugs since listening to Amber Heard, quite frankly. Just kidding. I haven't. But bro, she pushes you. I'm not, there's been times when I was listening to her testimony, like last night, when I had to actually check myself, and because I wasn't sure that I was even right. I started thinking, well, maybe I'm hearing this all wrong.
You can be seated. You want to continue with your witness?
Yes, we'll resume with the testimony of Raquel Pennington, Your
All
Honor.
right, thank you.
No, I don't. I absolutely do not need them. What I need, I can understand his frustration in having a
I want to
conversation
talk
with her,
about
because
the events of,
listening to her
May
conversations are
21st,
frustrating.
2016.
I would never do drugs.
Do you remember that night?
I'm
Ms.
too old for
Pennington?
that crap. Way too
Yes.
old. Those days are but long gone.
Walk us through what you recall about the evening of May 21st, 2016.
I will say she frustrates me to no end, and I can see why people would be tempted to take a Xanax around her or an Ativan or some type of benzo. Mm-hmm.
So in PH5, I was getting things ready for a artist craft show that I had.
Did you say
and,
craft or crap?
Making jewelry. And my friend Liz was there. Josh
That's my
was
mom's
there,
birthday,
Amber was
by the way.
helping. We were
January
set up in the
21st.
downstairs
Rest
living
in
room
peace,
of
Mom.
PH5. And at
Liz
some
Mars?
point- Liz Mars, yes.
Okay. And your fiance, Joshua Drew, is that right?
Yes. And at some point, Amber got a message from Johnny that said that he wanted to come over and talk or pick something up. I don't remember what the exact message was. And I thought it was a really bad idea, but
And Kathy, congratulations to you and your husband. It's hard work. And it's a choice that you have to make every single day to stick to, and I'm proud of you.
Upstairs to get ready for him to come over. And eventually he showed up. I didn't see him show up. I didn't hear him show up. He went to PH3 and then at some point I got a text from her, or I might have checked in, or I got a text from her that said, come over. So I tried to come over there and the door was locked. Their front door was locked. So I went to go get my key. I had a master key to all of the apartments. And I came back, unlocked the door, and he was yelling, and I don't remember exactly what he was saying. And she was calling for help, and that had never happened before, saying, help me. I went and I cut through the space between the coffee table and the sofa. And I went up to him and he was yelling and yelling. And I put my hands up on his chest and I was like, stop, just trying to calm him down. And he hit my hands away. And so I just went straight over to Amber. She sat down on the couch, she was crying, and I just put my body over her, and he came a little bit closer to us, and he was yelling at her to like get up, or I don't know, quit crying or get up or something. And it was really loud and he was getting closer and closer. And I remember thinking there was this like big orange ceramic ashtray on the coffee table. And I was thinking, if he gets any closer, I'm just gonna pick up the ashtray and like hit him with it, because he was so close over us. And then at that point, Jerry and Sean came in from the front door of PH3 and came in, and they were like, boss, come on, let's get out of here. And Jerry always called him boss. He's like, boss, come on, boss, let's go. And then Johnny grabbed like his leather bag off the stool that was by the island, and he had a big Magnum bottle of wine, and he was just like smashing stuff off the island and yelling. I don't remember exactly what he was saying. And then they finally left, and I could hear out in the hall just like banging and smashing and clattering around. I was just holding Amber, sort of just waiting for it to pass and clear. Until a little bit later, and then I think Josh came in.
Why did you get between and put your hands on Mr. Depp and get between him and Miss Heard?
I just thought I could calm him down.
And when he hit your hands away and then you went and laid on her, why did you do that?
It was the thing to do.
How would you describe Mr. Depp's mood?
Irate.
Were you afraid that Mr. Depp was going to hurt Miss Heard?
Yes.
And when he stood over you, you testified a little bit too, but describe what he was yelling as he stood over the couch.
I don't remember everything that he said. The thing that sticks out the most is that he was just yelling at her to get up. To get the fuck up.
Did you let her?
No.
And where were you, just to be clear, where were you when you received the message from Amber asking you to come over to Penthouse 3?
In either P5, PH5, or PH1.
You weren't already in Penthouse 3 when you got that text?
No.
To the extent that there are allegations that you were lying in wait in Penthouse 3 before Johnny walked into that penthouse, how do you respond to those?
That is not true.
I will also represent to you, Ms. Pennington, that Mr. Depp's lawyer has been quoted as saying, quote, Amber Heard and her friend Rocky Pennington staged the May 21 crime scene to prove the abuse allegation against Johnny Depp. Is that statement true?
No.
Did you stage anything about May 21st, 2016?
No.
Did Amber stage anything, to your knowledge, about May 21st, 2016?
No.
Describe for us the damage that you observed Mr. Depp cause to the penthouses, to Penthouse 3.
In 3, stuff had been knocked off the kitchen counter. Stuff had been knocked off a bar cart.
By whom?
By Johnny. I saw this happen on his way out. He was
With
smashing
his-
stuff
With what?
with a wine bottle.
What other damage can you remember Mr. Depp causing?
In the hallway, there was wine splash spilled in the hallway. There was a dent on the outside of PH1's door, front door. And then in PH5, where we had been getting stuff ready for my craft fair, my jewelry and materials had been thrown against the wall, and everything that was on the table was like strewn off of the table, thrown down.
I'd like to go through with you some photographs. of the incident that we talked about. So can you pull up May 21st, 2016, ALH 7051, please? And while he's pulling that up, Ms. Pennington, did you or either yourself or anyone else take photographs in the aftermath of this incident?
Yes.
Who took photographs?
Josh, Drew. That's the only person that I can say for sure.
Were you with Mr. Drew when he was taking photographs?
I can't remember.
Oh,
Did you
can't
go
remember,
through the
huh?
penthouses to see where the damage has been done?
Eventually.
Ms. Pennington, what is this a picture of, if you know?
This is a picture of the living room in PH5 with the back corner of the sofa. It has the beads that I had been working on and the stand that I used to display them thrown to the wall. Some of the beads are on the windowsill.
Look, Rocky, I'm
The
just going to
stand is broken.
cut to the chase here, girl. If I had been gone for a month and I
did
came
you,
back
does this fairly inaccurately reflect
to a
damage
bunch
that
of
you saw at,
freeloaders
Penthouse
chilling in
5
my
on May
penthouses,
21st,
yeah, I might throw
2016?
your shit too.
Yes.
Exhibit 30 is up.
What is this a picture of, if you know?
This is a picture of the Johnny and Amber's bedroom in PH3. It has several photos, framed photos, stacked on it.
And do those photos appear to be intact?
These do, yes.
In your experience, do those photos normally sit on the bed?
No.
Does this, did you witness, well, was this part of the aftermath of what Mr. Depp did in Penthouse 3?
I didn't see him take these down, but they were not down before he came over.
Does it fairly and accurately depict what you witnessed the night of May 21st, 2016?
I didn't see this happen, but I did see this scenario.
You saw the pictures. That's my question. Does this fairly and accurately depict something that you personally saw on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
All right, let's pull up 7053, please. So my question, Ms. Pennington, will be, what is this a picture of?
Can the info thing move off to the side?
You know, no, I don't, not in this version of the pictures. So I apologize for that. If you need it zoomed in or out.
It's the landing of one of the staircases.
And what do you see on the picture?
It's broken glass and something spilled on the landing of one of the staircases. I can't tell if it's P3 or P5.
Okay. Does this picture fairly and accurately depict something that you observed on the night of May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Did you ever know Miss Heard to smash glasses on staircases?
No.
Did you find that question vague and ambiguous, Ms. Pennington?
No.
Exhibit 32 is up.
What is this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
These are stairs appearing of the same staircase with broken glass on them.
Does this picture fairly and accurately depict something that you personally observed the night of May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
33 is up.
What is this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is a picture of the floor mat in front of the doors that would lead out to the balcony of PH3, and it has a broken, looks like top of a martini glass on it.
Okay. Did you see this glass or material around this being broken on the evening of May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
And who broke this glass?
Johnny did.
And does this photo fairly and accurately depict something that you observed after Mr. Depp left Penthouse 3 on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Exhibit 34 is up.
What is this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is the space between the cabinets in the refrigerator and the kitchen islands. It has a rug on it, and it has a fruit basket and fruit on the ground.
And do you know who knocked that fruit on the ground?
Yes.
Who?
Johnny.
And does this fairly and accurately depict damage that you saw on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Exhibit 35 is up.
Thank you. What is this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is the landing of PH5 that Amber's office was set up on. And this is her desk and her files. And boxes have been outturned, and there's papers all over the floor.
And is this how Ms. Heard normally kept her office area?
No.
Does this fairly and accurately depict damage that you observed on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
36 is up.
Is this that same office area?
Yes.
And is this an accurate depiction of what you observed on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
37 is up.
I don't mean to be like hypercritical here, but like, why is every yes exhausting? Yes.
What is this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
Are you getting
This
enough
is a
fiber in
picture
your diet,
of
Miss Pennington? Because you
two
sound
photos
exhausted.
on the column, the staircase leading up to Amber's office. The top photo is a group photo of Savannah, Whitney, Io, myself, Amber, Aaron, Brittany, Morgan. We were in London. The glass is smashed. The bottom photo is a photo of Amber and me in France.
I think you mean Amber and
Does this photo
I, but I
fairly
don't
and
want to be
accurately depict
critical.
damage that you observed on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Yes.
38 is up.
What is this a picture of?
Picture of
Some
a
bullshit.
large bottle of wine on the floor.
That's what that's a picture of.
On May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this the bottle he was swinging, if you know?
I don't know.
but it accurately depicts something you observed on May 21st, 2016.
Yes.
Did you notice, you or misheard or anyone that you were with spilling wine in penthouses that night in order to stage damage?
No.
And by what is this a picture of? I meant the whole scene.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, it's a picture on the floor.
Do you know what penthouse that is in?
Can you zoom out again, please? Three.
Do you know who knocked this picture on the floor?
I didn't see it knocked down.
Did other than Mr. Depp, did you see anyone causing any damage or knocking anything down in any of the penthouses on May 21st, 2016?
No.
And did you see Mr. Depp knocking things down?
Yes.
Does this picture fairly and accurately describe something that you observed on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe, did you see any injuries on Amber on May 21st, 2016?
I'm sorry, y'all. I just can't do it.
Just a swollen, like red swollen cheek.
Let's pull up the May 21st, 2016 ALH 7077, please. And while he's doing that, did you, I know we talked about pictures of damage in the penthouses. Did you take pictures of Miss Heard that evening?
That's a toughie. Did I? What do you think, guys? How should I answer this?
I don't remember if it was me or Josh.
Were you present when pictures were taken of Miss Heard on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Does this picture fairly and accurately reflect observations you made of Miss Heard on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
42 is up.
What is this picture, Ms. Pennington?
This is Amber's face. It's red. The right cheek and eye is more red and swollen. Her right. My left.
I mean, you're not wrong, Allie. My dog stepped on a
Does
bee.
this fairly and accurately depict Miss Heard's condition that you observed that evening?
Yes.
Can you pull up 7083, please? What is this picture of?
This is Amber's face turned at a slight profile. Her eye is red and bruised. The side, the side brow, temple, and cheekbone.
Does this fairly and accurately depict Miss Heard's condition that you witnessed on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
And were you present when police arrived?
Yes.
Were there two sets of police officers?
Yes.
And what penthouse did they come in?
Penthouse 3 both times.
How close were you to the police officer?
In the same room.
Okay. Could you see damage that he had caused while you were standing there when the police officers were present?
Yes.
Did you ever hear Miss Heard say, express any financial motivations for wanting to remain in this relationship with Mr. Depp?
No.
Did Miss Heard ever express that if she went public against with what happened on May 21st, 2016, that she stood to gain financially from doing so?
No.
Now, at some point after May 21st, 2016, Miss Heard filed for divorce from Mr. Depp, right?
Correct.
And at some point she filed for a domestic violence restraining order against him. Is that right?
Yes.
Miss Pennington,
I'm gonna-
were you
I'm gonna come back to
the
that question
photographer
in a second,
in
but
the
before I forget,
courthouse photo
um,
shoot?
You mentioned Jerry and Sean Bett on the night of May 21st, right? Was there a space in the floor of the ECB where they would wait for Mr. Depp when he was in one of the penthouses?
Yes.
And what was that space?
We called it the guard shack, and it was a vestibule separate from the penthouses, except that a door from the vestibule also connected to the door of the patio of PH5.
Chick
Was
Tracy, she
the,
does sound a little snaky. I'm
okay.
a
Was it if someone were in the vestibule or the guard shack,
I'm a
as you called it,
Slytherin.
would they have seen you go into penthouse 3 when Amber requested that you do so?
No.
I like a slither through your garden. I'm a snake.
Did you see
Okay, I'm done.
Jerry or Sean or any security guards when you entered penthouse 3 that evening?
No.
Okay. Going back to the domestic violence restraining order, did you accompany Miss Heard to court when she got that order?
Yes.
I'd like you to pull up, please, May 2016, Court, Pennington, 1292, please. And while he's doing that, do you know if Miss Heard wore any makeup that morning?
I don't remember seeing her put on any makeup.
Was that rare for Miss Heard not to wear makeup?
Yes.
What is this a picture of?
This is Amber.
Oh, this is
and
abrupt. Why is her
Jody,
hair's down now all of a sudden?
Sitting
Put it back up, Brocky.
on the bench in the hallway waiting room of the courthouse.
When?
The day that the restraining order was filed.
Do you see any injuries on Miss Heard?
I do.
Describe what you see.
On her cheekbone, right cheekbone is bruise.
Where's the bruise under her eye? How come the bruise is so low
And how
all
long
of a
after May
sudden?
21st was this approximately?
Just
I
asking.
don't know. I don't remember.
Just
A matter of
curious.
days? Weeks?
Less than a week.
Did you ever see any makeup artist paint on this bruise? Put a fake bruise on Miss Heard's face?
No.
Can you please pull up Pennington 1295, please. And before we do, does this picture fairly and accurately depict Miss Heard's condition the morning or the day she applied for the domestic violence restraining order?
Yes.
Do you know whether you took this picture?
To the best of my recollection, I took that.
And I'm going to ask you the same thing about this next picture, 1295.
To the best of my recollection, I took that.
And does that fairly and accurately depict Miss Heard's condition on that morning?
Yes.
Yes.
46 is up.
What is that a picture of?
It is Amber at a slight profile in the same courthouse room. Her hair's behind her ear. You can see a picture of a bruise on her cheekbone. She looks like a skeleton.
Did you take this picture?
Yes.
Based on your personal knowledge, is there any truth to the allegation that Amber did this because she's, quote, a gold digger?
No.
Let me
Ms. Pennington,
switch this. I want to say something.
You came to understand at some point, at some point, did you learn that Mr. Depp had lost the tip of his finger in Australia?
Yes.
And what is that other way that you learned that Mr. Depp had cut the tip of his finger off?
He showed it to me.
In addition to showing you, how did you learn from Mr. Depp that he had cut off the tip of his own finger?
He told me.
Oh, he did,
What
did
he
he?
tell you?
Said, I don't remember how he said he cut the tip of his finger off, but
You don't. That's
while the nurse was
convenient.
dressing it, I wanted to see it. I also had a very small injury on the tip of my finger. And I continued to see it throughout its healing process, but I don't remember how he told me how he cut it off.
But you remember that he told you that he cut it off.
Yes.
Wow.
Ms. Pennington, I'll finish where we started, which is you've given a number of you've testified a number of times about the events that we talked about today, and I really appreciate you you being here today and talking about these. I know it was tough and it was emotional at times. Is there anything that you would change about any of the testimony that you've given today or previously about any of these events?
No.
I would charge more. Oh, no, sorry. No. No.
And you've done your best every time you've testified about this to tell the full truth about everything that you know, everything that you saw, everything that you heard, everything that you've observed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have done the very best to tell the absolute truth exactly as I remember it at all of the points of time.
All right. Yes, sir. Your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. That concludes the testimony of Raquel Pennington. Ms. Heard calls Joshua Drew as her next witness.
Okay.
And if we may approach just to discuss a
All
couple
right.
exhibits.
And that's by deposition, is that correct?
It is by deposition,
All right.
yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
What do y'all suppose they's discussing? Discussing. Sorry. Discussing. What are y'all suppose they's discussing? Up there at the bench. I don't know if I can make it through Josh. I'm sorry. I don't even know if that's his name, honestly. I'm terrible. I don't know if I can do this, y'all. This is beyond frustrating to me. I don't know. There is such a weird. There's such a weird disconnect for me in the testimony. It's like, and maybe it's because, I mean, I'm trying to be fair here, right? Because these are not your typical citizens, right? Like, this is not what we're used to seeing in like a criminal trial, where the witnesses, especially if they're related to the victim in any capacity, be it friends or family, they want to be there. They want to testify. And it's just weird because there's parts of Rocky's testimony where it's like you're bothering her. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to talk about this, right? But then, hey, Yogi Jaya, then suddenly, and I know it's not actually suddenly, because I know that these are clips of her deposition and they're put together in one file. I get that, because you can see when it, you can see the edit. But it's so, even if you ignore the edit, right? The testimony about the alleged abuse, it's like she perks right up and she remembers all the things. And the rest of the time, she's can't be bothered. She's annoyed. She doesn't remember. And just answering, yes, is exhausting. Yes, rest your eyes, Yogi Jaya. I'd like to rest my eyes too. Anaphylaxis, good morning. I mean, we're going to talk about all this tonight because I also want to get into Io's deposition. I don't know. There's just the whole situation is just weird to me, and it just does not ring true. I think that witness needs a nap and iron, honestly, like an iron supplement, because she just sounds just so exhausted. And not just exhausted, right? She's like this weird combination of exhausted and I don't fucking want to be here. All the penthouses were a mess. Well, Yogi Jaya, I'm kind of thinking there's something a little bit not quite right about that. Because if you look at, and I did today, while I was looking at the whole legal bites thing, I was all, Allie had sent a screenshot of a tweet from Rocky Pennington that basically states, "Good morning, everybody except for Amber Heard," right? And the truth is, I mean, yeah, it's shade and it's a dig, but let's be honest. We've seen harsher digs from coming from breakups on YouTube. Let's just call it what it is. You know what I mean? This is somebody that she's been friends with since 2003. They're not friends anymore, and all of the sudden they're not, but they're like just it's just such a
Are we ready?
barely there shade.
Not quite.
You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
This is, misheard calls Joshua Drew. as I
Thank you.
mentioned.
Well, Neymar Stump Dunble, or Neymar, I don't know how you say that. I wish you the best of luck.
Los Angeles.
What is your occupation?
I run my own hospitality development consulting firm.
I think you should
Are you
probably,
also a
if you're
chef?
going to be taking
Nothing more.
pills, you should
What,
make
if
sure
any,
they're
education
safe.
have you had since high
I wouldn't
school?
just be taking
I
random
have my
pills.
associates,
just 'cause they're
of
red.
Science in culinary arts.
Safety
And
first,
from
you
what
know.
institution?
Johnson and Wales University.
Did you receive a degree from there?
I did.
In what year?
That would have been 2003.
Who is Raquel
Oh,
Rose
I
Pennington?
see, Allie.
Client's wife.
Okay, okay. I
Because
know what-
wanna be
yeah.
respectful. How should I refer to her? Ms. Pennington, Rocky, or Raquel?
Rocky or Raquel is perfectly fine.
Okay. You were married to Rocky, so there came a time.
I
when you
don't
began
judge.
to
I
date
just
Rocky,
would,
correct?
Correct.
When
want
did you
people to be
start
careful taking
dating Rocky?
pills.
That would have been June of 2014.
And did there come a time when you became engaged to Rocky?
Correct.
When was that?
That would have been in summer of 2015. Yeah, I believe.
Do you recall when you were divorced from Rocky?
Officially September 24th of last year. We separated officially October of the previous year.
When did you first meet Amber Heard?
Probably about 3 or 4 weeks after Raquel and I had started dating, very early on.
When did you first meet Johnny Depp?
Shortly after I met Amber, I want to say, if memory serves, about 5 or 6 weeks after Raquel and I started dating.
Again, I understand it was a long time ago, but do you recall under what circumstances you met him?
Funny enough, I actually do very clearly. I had come over.
Yeah, I probably
under the
remember
auspice of
meeting
what was
Johnny
called
Depp
Family Movie
too.
Night, and it was Amber and Johnny and Jack. I honestly don't remember whether Lily Rose was there. She might have come later at a certain point. And it was just us in their apartment eating burgers and watching movies.
Since that time, on how many occasions have you seen and interacted with Johnny Depp from that very first time on movie night?
I couldn't even speculate the number of. It's not that it was infrequent so much as it was sporadic and honestly for a large portion of it fairly casual. Not the kind of thing where you would just count the number of times. It was regular interactions over various periods of time.
Well, your counsel is not going to let you speculate, but I'm going to ask you to get a range. Is it more than 10 times?
Yes.
More than 50 times?
Yes.
From the time that you first met Mr. Depp.
That's
on
probably
movie night
good,
until
Josh.
this
Don't
very
appear
moment
too
sitting
eager, as
here
if you
today,
would remember
have
that.
you ever seen Mr. Depp strike Amber Heard?
No.
Have you ever seen him throw a telephone at her?
No.
Have you ever seen him hit her with a fist?
No.
Have you ever lived at a building located at 849 South Broadway in Los Angeles known as the Eastern Columbia Building?
Correct.
Did you live in the condo known as Penthouse 1?
Correct.
With whom did you live in Penthouse 1?
Raquel Pennington.
From when to when did you live in Penthouse 1 with Rocky Pennington?
Again, my memory is a little bit foggy of exact dates. Man, you'll have to bear with me a minute here. So while I was a frequent guest, I didn't actually live there until I want to say about October or November of 2015.
Was Rocky already living in Penthouse 1 when you started visiting and ultimately moved in there?
Yes.
Did Ms. Pennington move into Penthouse 1 in or about June of 2014?
I couldn't tell you with any specificity, but I believe it's around that time frame.
Who owned Penthouse 1 at the time?
Johnny Depp.
While you and Rocky lived together in Penthouse One, did you or she have a key that allowed you access to all of the penthouses on that floor?
Everything except PH2, yes.
At the time, did Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard live together in PH3?
Sporadically, yes.
The
We
key
just
to
saw
which you
the
and
her
Rocky
pal.
had access
That is her
allowed
friend.
neither
Then
of
there
you
is
to
another.
enter PH3.
Hold on,
correct?
Josh.
Correct.
Then there's another Rocky Pennington on Twitter who is an MMA fighter. The one that just testified was actually her friend, right? That's how it goes, Allie. I think that's right. Okay, here we go.
Who was in PH5 at the time?
Nobody lived in PH5 for the entirety of our time there.
Did you or Rocky ever pay Mr. Depp any rent to live in PH1?
Offered and refused.
Did you consider the refusal of your offer to be a generous gesture by Mr. Depp?
Exceedingly.
In your experience, is Mr. Depp generally generous to his friends?
Yes.
Is he generous to people generally?
Yes.
Did Mr. Depp own Penthouse 5?
Yes.
Would your key have opened Penthouse 5?
Yes.
When you and Rocky were living here in Penthouse 1, did you ever notice that there were security personnel standing outside the door of Penthouse 3 when Mr. Depp was in Penthouse 3?
Not normally, no.
Did you ever see the security personnel standing outside of his door?
On very rare occasion. Normally they were in a storage room off to the side of PH5.
Moving aside from Mr. Bett and Mr. Judge, while you stayed at the East Columbia building, did you come to know any of the employees of the building?
Casually.
Who is Trinity Esparza?
She was one of the front desk people.
Did you have communications with her?
In the course of living there, yes.
Did you find her to be pleasant?
No.
How was she unpleasant?
She was not particularly polite or accommodating to me or Raquel or any of Amber's friends. I wasn't there specifically, but I heard similar things from Amber and her interactions with her as well throughout the course of our time there.
While you lived in Penthouse 1, did you have the opportunity to interact often with Amber Heard?
Yes.
Did you and Rocky see Ms. Heard frequently?
Yes.
Did you ever see her drinking alcohol?
Yes.
Did you ever see her drink to excess?
Yes.
Did you observe Amber Heard during her wedding to Mr. Depp at the Bahamas?
Yes.
Was she intoxicated at any time during the wedding weekend?
Yes.
Uh,
As were we all.
Did you ever hear at any time Amber Heard yell at Mr. Depp?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
I couldn't tell you the number of occasions.
Did you ever see her strike Mr. Depp?
No.
Did you and Rocky ever discuss the relationship between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
Honestly, probably hundreds, if not thousands.
Mr. Drew, moving to April 21, 2016, do you recall that there was to have been a birthday celebration that night?
Yes.
Was that Amber Heard's birthday?
Yes.
Do you recall which birthday it was for her, how old she was?
It was her 30th. I catered it.
What do you recall about that evening?
I recall it was held in PH5. Johnny was hours late. And Amber spent the better part of the evening making excuses for him. And he came very obviously intoxicated and put on a show for everybody.
Yes, they still count. And do I think they should be questioned again? Yeah, probably. But it seems like they can't be made to testify in a civil suit. So this is the best we got. But these 2019 depositions are likely depositions pertaining to this lawsuit to begin with. So, you know, a deposition is basically, how do I explain it? Like a preview of the trial, and it's to get witnesses to go on record. And then ultimately, what you'd like to do is have them testify in the at the trial, so that you know, if they're your witness, you can, you know, it gives more credibility to the story. But then on the opposing side, you would try to use their deposition testimony versus their courtroom testimony in an attempt to impeach the trial testimony, which is what they did in yeah, which is what they did with Amber. That they used her depositions from the UK trial as an attempt to impeach her and prove her a liar. All right, here we go.
And when the party was over, or we left, cleaned up, and the next morning we heard about what had transpired after the fact.
So Johnny was supposed to have attended the dinner, correct?
Correct.
And at what time did the dinner begin?
I don't recall.
You and Rocky were guests at the dinner?
Correct.
Who else was invited to the dinner?
Again, you'll have to forgive me. It was quite some time ago. I remember Amber's friend Brandon being there, Amber's friend Iggy, a rabbi. I want to say that Whitney was there as well. To be very honest, I can't say with specificity whom else was there.
When you say Whitney, are you referring to Whitney Hurd?
Correct.
Is Whitney Hurd Amber's younger sister?
Correct.
Oh, you're
Putting
welcome,
aside
Sam.
the state or condition in which Johnny arrived, do you recall sitting here today approximately when Johnny arrived for dinner?
I really couldn't tell you with any specificity, but I can say it was quite a few hours after the party had started.
It's probably held there,
Did he
Shmita, because
provide
of
any
space.
excuse or explanation to the group as to why he was late?
No.
Putting aside Mr. Depp's intake of alcohol that evening, had Miss Hurd been drinking before Mr. Depp arrived?
Yes.
Do you know how much?
Couldn't tell you.
Did she seem intoxicated at any time during the evening?
Yes.
Did you see Amber Heard the next morning, April 22nd, 2016?
I believe so, yes.
Did you notice any marks on her face or elsewhere that morning?
I don't recall.
That morning, April 22nd, did you and Ms. Pennington and Amber Heard drive together to Coachella?
Coachella.
I did not.
I'm done.
Are you still in contact with Amber Heard?
Sporadically, yes.
It's Coachella. Sorry. I got to take my moments where I can get them, because I find some of this beyond frustrating.
Just to be clear, and I'm sorry to jump around, when you say strike that, are you say sporadically? How frequently you're in contact with her?
We didn't speak for about 2 years following my divorce, and she reached out to me to make amends about, I want to say about 2 months ago, if memory serves.
I'm going to come back to that. When you said you don't recall seeing marks on the morning of April 22nd, is that because you didn't see any marks on Miss Heard, or you didn't see her at all that morning?
I honestly don't recall the state of her the next morning. If memory serves, it was, but that the girls were hustling to get everything together to go out to Coachella. So it was a pretty frantic morning.
I like
couldn't say
Coachella
with
better.
any
Please, from
specificity
now
whether I
on, refer
interacted
to
with
it
her
as
that morning before they
Coachella.
departed.
And Mr. Drew, you said that Ms. Heard reached out to you. When did she reach out to you?
Sometime in the last 2 months.
What did she say when she reached out to you?
To paraphrase, it was something akin to letting me know that, her and Raquel hadn't spoken in some time, and to tell me that she loved me and that she missed me, and she just wanted to make amends and reconnect.
Did she mention anything about this lawsuit?
Not in the initial interaction.
No, of course not. That's not how it's
How
done.
did you
Don't be
respond to her
ridiculous.
in this initial interaction when she said she wanted to make amends?
I didn't for some time. I think I waited about a week and a half before I responded, and before I could, I did get a note from her letting me know that she had tried to keep me out of it, but more than likely people were going to be contacting me either about being deposed or a statement of some kind. There was nothing explicit about whom it would be coming from, whether it was from Johnny's side or from her side, only that somebody would more than likely be reaching out to me.
And when you had a glass of wine, again, only lawyers remember these things, but do you recall approximately when you had a glass of wine with her?
Probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Oh, I'm sorry, it would be longer than that. Probably about 2 months ago.
Mr. Drew, let's please change subjects and move to the evening of May 21, 2016, which you had referenced previously. Was Mr. Depp at the condo at the East Columbia building that day prior to the evening?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you see him arriving at the condo that night?
No.
Did you see Mr. Bett and Mr. Judge that evening?
Yes.
When did you first see them?
I saw them when he ordered them to open the door to PH5 following the incident.
When you say he, to whom are you referring?
Johnny.
Did you ever see them that night somewhere outside the door of PH3?
No.
Do you know whether she received a text from Amber Heard at 8:06 p.m.?
I can't certify the time, but the text message itself and the receipt, yes.
Were you with Rocky when she received that text?
Yes.
Wasn't she already in Penthouse 3 as of 8:06 p.m.?
When she received the text, she was not in Penthouse 3. She was in Penthouse 5 with me. But again, I can't recall with specificity the exact time of these events.
Any time, including that night, did you ever see Mr. Depp strike Rocky Pennington?
No.
That evening, did you see Mr. Depp smash bottles of wine?
No.
Did you see him break furniture?
No.
Did you see him kick a hole through a solid door?
No.
Do you recall when Mr. Depp, Mr. Bett, and Mr. Judge left the building that night?
If we're presuming that that text was received from Raquel at 8:06, they had left the building within 30 minutes, to my recollection.
So it would be approximately sometime around 8:30, 8:29?
Thereabouts, but I don't recall specifically.
What else do you remember about the events of the evening of May 21?
I mean, I can tell you contemporaneously from the start if there's something specific you'd like me to expound on.
Who is Officer Melissa Science?
My understanding, it was the name of the Latina officer that first responded with her partner.
When did she arrive at the scene, if you recall?
Vaguely, I remember them arriving about 45 minutes to an hour after Johnny had left. But again, exact times I'm a little foggy.
Going back to the Latina officer, was there another officer with her?
Yes, there was a bald gentleman, white.
With which officer, if any, did you speak that night?
Both.
What did you say to them, if you recall?
When they arrived, I greeted them at the door. I walked them through PH3 to show them the damage, show them the broken glass. They had already walked through the hallway over the gigantic wine stain throughout the entire hallway. I took them through PH3, like I said, to show them the damage. I took them back out of the hallway, showed them the dent in the door shaped like the bottom of a wine bottle in PH1, took them into PH5 to see broken picture frames, smashed glass, Raquel's jewelry and things like that strewn about the apartment. And then I brought them back to PH3, at which point they separated. The Latino officer pulled Amber aside specifically to speak to her one-on-one. The door was closed. I was outside with the other officer. So I can't say with any specificity what happened inside. I don't know whether anybody was in earshot. I don't know whether everybody else was around. They told me specifically it was one-on-one, and I was outside the door with the male officer, and specifically my communication with him was asking what, if anything, could be done, because we were obviously upset. And his comment to me specifically was, there's damage in these apartments. Her face is red. If she wants to file a report, we have enough here to go pick him up.
But you've never seen Johnny hit Amber.
That's correct. And I've affirmed it to everybody that I've spoken to. I've been explicit about that.
And you've never seen Johnny hit any woman.
Correct.
Do you recall having a conversation with Rocky and Amber after Mr. Depp and his security personnel left the building, but before Officer Science and Officer Haddon arrived?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
You'll have to forgive me again. My memory of the exact sequence of events, that transpired after all this is a little foggy. If memory serves, Amber was damn near catatonic after all this. We had gotten her into PH1 so we could deadbolt the door and keep her safe until he left. A few minutes thereafter, I had gotten a little bit of a rundown from Raquel over what had transpired. Raquel got her to call her lawyer, Samantha Spector, to find out what to do. And if memory serves, Samantha's recommendation was that we immediately put together a contemporaneous, matter-of-fact statement together of what had transpired that night. And that ultimately was up to Amber as to what she wanted to do with the police or whatever it may be.
Are you aware that Amber Heard spoke to Officer Science and Officer Haddon that evening?
Yes.
Were you present when she was speaking to them?
No.
Did Amber file the complaint that night?
No.
Did the police arrest Mr. Depp?
No.
Did they issue a warrant for his arrest?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Drew, let's turn for the moment to May 22nd, 2016. Did you see Ms. Heard at all that day?
Yes.
When did you see her?
At various points throughout the day. If memory serves, Raquel had committed to a jewelry show somewhere, I want to say it was downtown, I might be mistaken, it might have been out in Venice, somewhere in Los Angeles. So she was out most of the day. So I cleared my schedule to be able to be there should Amber need anything. If memory serves, either her attorney or somebody in her group had a friend come over with a locksmith to change the locks just to be safe. And I was there to make sure that happened. And just like I said,
Sorry, Wishbrand, Zach Galifianakis, I'm going to have to pause you for a brief moment because he is testifying that basically, Amber, which she did testify to, she called her entertainment lawyer, and the entertainment lawyer advised them to put a statement together, right? Okay. But that's not what Amber says happened. Amber says that, yes, she did call her entertainment lawyer, who then referred her to a different lawyer. She referred to the lawyer as a domestic something or other. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But it was that lawyer who told Amber, according to Amber, that she should tell the cops, under the advice of her attorney, she does not wish to make a statement at this time and not to cooperate. That's very curious.
be there for Amber should she need anything, just so she wasn't alone.
When you saw Amber,
Which
on
I'm kind of surprised they're
May
using
22nd,
him
you don't know whether it
since.
was the morning or the afternoon. Is that right?
It was sporadic throughout the day. I think it was some point late morning and throughout the afternoon.
When you first saw her, did you notice any marks on her
There's
face?
that
Yes.
conflict,
Describe the marks.
discrepancy.
To be very honest with you, I don't actually remember which side of her face it was, but I do distinctly remember there being a red mark and a small bruise on her cheekbone. and red marks just above her eyebrow and to the right side or to the side of her eyebrow.
Did you see any swelling?
A little bit.
Can you remember anything else? Did you see marks anywhere else other than the ones you've described?
No.
Did you ever notice anyone visiting Amber Heard at night while Mr. Depp was away?
During the time that I was living there,
Yes.
yes.
On how many occasions?
I wouldn't even be able to estimate.
Was it more than 10?
Yes,
Was it more than 20?
yes,
Was it more than 30?
yes.
Was it more than 50?
Again, I can't really speculate. I was there for quite some time.
When did that first occur?
I mean, I'm not privy to her comings and goings, and she had other friends than us that were coming to see her. So,
And again, to be specific, I'm just talking about visitors at night when Mr. Depp was away.
again, I can't say with any specificity.
When did that first happen that you were aware of?
I mean, I would say pretty early on, but again, there's no context to it. The other consideration that I would say is that the hallway between all of these penthouses was public right of way going to the pool. So my understanding of people coming and going, it might have been the public, it might have been residents, or I'm sorry, not public, it might have been residents in the building. I can't really say with any specificity.
Who was Elon Musk?
Elon Musk was a gentleman that Amber dated intermittently following the restraining order.
When did can you recognize Elon Musk?
Yes.
When did you first
Well,
see
somebody
Elon
is not
Musk?
telling the truth here or
Penthouse.
misremembering. That's for sure. The question is who?
Again, I'm not quite clear exactly, but I want to say it was about 3 to 4 weeks after the restraining order was filed.
But while Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were still married, correct?
Yes.
After May 22nd, 2016, did you ever see any marks on Ms. Heard?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Would you please describe, as far as you can remember, what cleanup efforts were undertaken and by whom?
Oh boy, he's really sweaty.
Myself. In penthouse 3, there was a number of pieces of broken glass and items strewn about the counters and the floor in the kitchen. Only in the kitchen, sort of around the kitchen island. In the hallway outside of the penthouses was quite a bit of spilled wine. I don't believe we dealt with that at all. And then in PH5, all of Raquel's things had been strewn about pretty dramatically. So we did our best to sort of put that back together and pack everything back up. And there were, things like piles of books and picture frames were broken, or piles of books were strewn about, and picture frames were broken and things like that. We just picked the glass up off the floor so the dogs didn't get hurt. And I think we left everything else for the time being.
Did you actually see who strewn about? That's not the right verb. But did you actually see the person who threw her clothes around?
I didn't witness firsthand any destruction of any kind.
Are you aware that Ms. Heard alleged that Mr. Depp hit her on or about December 15?
Yes.
What, if anything, do you know about that incident?
So my recollection of that is Raquel and I had come back to the penthouses from where I don't recall specifically, sometime, I want to say late afternoon, early evening. And Raquel was supposed to meet with Amber as soon as they came back. Amber had not been responding to her text messages for some time. So we let ourselves into PH3 together to go check on her and make sure everything was okay. When we came in, the kitchen was completely, I wouldn't say it's trashed, but it was out of order enough for something to be off. And then when we turned the corner on the section of counter next to the kitchen sink, there was something written on the counter, and I don't know, I can't remember what material it was. And to be honest, I can't actually recall exactly what was written. It was something very, very weird, like all is such a fraud or something akin to that.
You never saw Mr. Depp strike Amber Heard on or about December 15, 2015,
No.
correct?
Correct.
Did you see her Did you see Miss Heard that night?
Yes,
Did you notice any bruising or other signs of injury?
yes, pretty significant.
What did you observe?
I noticed specifically she had pretty significant bruising on the inside of both eye sockets, kind of extending down the bridge of her nose, and her forehead was red.
But you have no first-hand knowledge of how that injury occurred.
That's correct.
Are you aware that she made Amber Heard made a television appearance the next day?
Yes,
Do you ever see Mr. Depp take drugs, either prescription drugs or drugs that were not by prescription?
yes.
How many times?
I can't speculate on the number of times, to be honest.
There was some questioning before where people were asking you about emphasizing how many times. Is it fair to say more than 10 times?
Yes,
Fair to say more than 20 times?
yes. But to be very honest with you, he was also a very private person, and a lot of that behavior was done in private. I didn't witness a lot of it.
Did you ever hear Mr. Depp yell at Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Can you tell me when you recall that and what happened?
I can't say with any specificity the number of times. There is one incident specifically that I do recall.
And meanwhile, Ben
Myself
Chu
and
is just
Raquel were
snacking away.
vacationing in France with the two of them, and we were staying separately, separate houses, and the two of them were having a very, very loud argument with one another, screaming at each other that we could hear through the walls.
How long do you recall approximately that yelling lasted for?
I want to say
They look like two
I
homeboys
witness
just sitting there
personally?
watching
Maybe
a
30
movie
minutes.
together, having some
Did
snacks.
Mr. Depp often wear heavy rings that you noticed on his fingers?
yes,
More than one?
yes.
And were they large? Is that fair to say?
If memory serves, yes.
December 15, 2015, Los Angeles, California, which is the next page. And you'll see in paragraph 23, in case it refreshes your recollection, there's a specific reference to Rocky. What knowledge do you have about this incident?
Specifically, coming home, I want to say late afternoon, early evening. It was myself and Raquel. Melanie was not present. Amber had not been responding to Raquel for some time. They were supposed to hang out, the three of them. So we let ourselves into PH3 to check on her and make sure everything was okay. When we came inside, the kitchen and the dining table were a mess. Like the kitchen island area, things were strewn about outside of the norm. And there was something written on the counter adjacent to the kitchen sink, like I stated previously, something like always such a fraud or something in that vein. We realized something was off right away. Raquel told me to go back to our place and then booked it upstairs. I didn't hear from her for about 10, 15 minutes, which I was obviously concerned about.
The incident you just testified about, you talked about the kitchen being, with Mr. Chu, about the kitchen being a mess on one incident. Is this the same incident you were referencing?
Correct.
Okay. So I think you testified that when you came, you saw some writing in the kitchen. I've showed you a document, which is a photograph that we've marked as Drew 10, and asked you if that's what you were referring to earlier.
Yes.
And did you come to learn, Mr. Drew, who had written this language? Is this the kitchen, withdrawn, is this the kitchen counter?
It's the kitchen counter next to the kitchen sink.
And this is in the apartment of Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp?
PH3.
And did you come to learn who had written these words on the kitchen counter?
I'm sure there'll be an objection to this response, but I knew it's his handwriting.
When you use the preposition his in that answer, you meant Mr. Depp?
Correct.
And why, and are you saying that you recognized at the time that it was his handwriting?
Correct.
And how were you able to recognize Mr. Depp's handwriting?
He has a very unique mode of penmanship.
Oh, does he?
And you had seen that mode of penmanship previously?
Many times.
Did he write
Can
you stuff?
read what is written?
I'm not arguing that he took it, that he wrote
in
that.
Drew 10?
That does look
Why
like
be a
Johnny
fraud?
Depp's,
All is such bullshit.
you know.
Is this Drew 10 an accurate photograph of what you recall seeing that day?
To my recollection, yes.
Was anything else written on the countertop?
Not that I remember.
When you saw these, when you came into the apartment and saw the mess in the kitchen and saw these words written,
I just don't get the big deal
the
that's being
countertop,
made about this kind of stuff,
were you concerned?
frankly.
And what were you concerned about?
That something very, very bad had happened.
And that's in part because you assumed immediately that Mr. Depp had written these words?
Yes.
Can you read you read into the record what it says? Could just correct me if I'm wrong. That little kind of red thing there, in the top right-hand corner of the photograph. Do you recall, is that a lipstick? Part of a lipstick?
Couldn't tell you.
At the time, did you have any idea of what this was written in? Do you recall?
Looking at it, I can answer. I don't recall from the time, so I'm going to say no.
And I take it, Mr. Drew, you didn't take this photograph.
No,
Do you know if Rocky did?
I don't know.
I seriously don't get the big deal
And when you
about
say
this.
you
It's
weren't
not
sure
like
that
they had to
something
clean it
very,
up.
Bad had happened. What do you mean by that?
You walk into somebody's house and it looks like they vandalized it and things are amiss or things are strewn about. It doesn't portend anything good.
It says, why be a fraud? All is such bullshit.
Did you go anywhere else in Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's apartment other than the kitchen that day?
The living room later.
All is such
Again, to the best
bullshit.
of your recollection, I understand it's a long time ago, and I understand these aren't exactly happy memories. But can you tell me
You're trying to get me in trouble on YouTube,
chronologically
Yogi?
what happened?
I'm just
You let
kidding.
yourself into the apartment. You saw this. Just tell me the story again, to the best of your recollection of what happened when.
How I remember it is that like I said, we came home late afternoon, early evening. Hadn't heard from Amber in some time, which was out of character for her. Let ourselves in to go check. Saw that written on the counter. Saw the kitchen amiss. Raquel looked at me and said specifically, "Go back to our place. I'm gonna go check on her." Bolted upstairs. I was sitting over in PH1
You're welcome, babe.
in our apartment waiting, and I heard from her again. I don't remember exactly. I want to say it was about 10 or 15 minutes later. I really don't remember what my response was. I don't remember what transpired after that, other than there was some time that she was over there. I don't remember when or even if Melanie came over at any point during that evening.
What do you recall about that?
And I remember it specifically because
I mean, yeah,
she had
Amelia,
pretty
it's like he
significant
trusted
physical
them
facial
because
injuries.
Amber
I
trusted
didn't
them.
know
You know what I
if She was
mean?
going to be in a state to do it, or didn't know whether
And-
she was going to have the physical appearance.
No, I'm just totally
When you
kidding,
say
Yogi.
these
They're not going to
things,
do
first of all, She
anything.
in those statements is Amber
I'm
Heard,
just
correct?
teasing you.
Did you see Ms. Heard's face that day?
Yes,
Do you have good
It,
vision?
it's like that.
I didn't have glasses. And didn't
What I
have
find
the
so
internet.
surprising
So I'm handing you a
is
document
that
that's through 11. You can see from the top page, it's attached to Ms. Heard's
despite
affidavit, declaration. It's
being in Hollywood for as long as he was, and also
photos of Ms. Heard's face and
his
all,
age, in a lot of ways, he seems
if those were considered
rather
what was
naive.
observed on her face that day.
It is.
Like
I
it
was
didn't
with her
even
college.
occur to him that these people that were her friends
And the pictures were taken on Raquel's
might
or photo
To my,
camera.
to my recollection, yes.
be
they could have
sycophants
been taken on
and
Amber's phone,
opportunistic.
so there wouldn't be any potential.
Thank you, Yogi. Jay, I appreciate that,
or
babe.
anything like that.
Which is interesting to me.
And you described earlier to Mr. Chu that there was
You would think that
color
Johnny Depp would be more
under both of her eyes.
guarded,
And
right?
that's what I mean,
Like
Ms. Heard.
you learn from experience with Hollywood. Like people, when they're fresh in the business and they become famous initially, there's a lot of things that get leaked,
Yes.
like negative things, stories, incidences, etc.,
I did.
because they don't know any better, right? But Johnny Depp had been in the business a lot. It's like he wasn't ever around people that were opportunistic in this way. which is
See those photos?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing that?
fascinating to me.
On Ms. Heard's face that
Because
day?
they say you attract what you are,
Honestly, I
right?
don't remember without looking at this
So he
photo,
must not. I don't know. It's just weird to. I don't know. I can't get my
Mr. Drew,
thoughts
were you
together, so I'm
there-
just going to be shushed.
Just to refresh your recollection, you were there when all of these photos were taken, or just the photos of the face?
I can't say definitively.
But there's some photos you were there for that are here.
Correct.
But at least some of the photos in Drew 11, you recall being there and personally observing Ms. Pennington take them.
Correct.
And are you aware of any efforts by
Let me
Rocky
speed him up just a
or
little
anyone
bit.
else to manipulate the
So we
photos that
can
were
be
taken
caught
that day
up with the
Photoshop
court.
or any other method of changing a photograph?
If I had
Thank
any
you,
knowledge of that
Amelia.
reason,
I'm not
this would be very
articulating it very well, but yeah, you
different.
take my meaning.
Whatever.
Hopefully
I'm gonna,
other
turn
people
now
do
to,
too.
the incident of 2016, in connection with Ms. Heard's birthday party. I think it was her 30th birthday party. What I'd like, if you can, Mr. Drew, is for you to tell me in your own words, again, separate and apart from anything that's in Ms. Heard's declaration, what you recall happening that day and what you did, saw, and observed.
So memory serves, it was Amber's 30th birthday. She wanted to have a dinner party at the apartments, just close friends, and I offered to cook dinner for everybody. There had been some mention that he had appointments or he had some things and that he would be there and so on and so forth. I really don't recall specifically who the appointments with, what they were for, what time they were, and anything like that. Quite frankly, any talk of schedule with either Amber or Johnny was pretty much moot, to be very honest. Everybody arrived. We were sort of, I think we waited for a little bit of time, expecting him to show up. And at a certain point, I don't know who made the decision. They're just like, let's sit down, have dinner. He'll get here whenever he gets here. And we had the party in PH5. We sat outside. I want to say he showed up not towards the end of the evening, but pretty close to. Again, it's just my observation, but it appeared that he was inebriated in some way. I won't say whether he'd been drinking on pills or whatever it was, but it did have the appearance that he was inebriated in some way. She did not react to it.
She being
Amber, yeah, played nice. He sat down, and honestly, the rest of the evening was quite pleasant. He does what he always does when he comes and sits down at dinner, is put on a show and connect with everybody and, be entertaining. Be
Put on a
pleasant and
show,
polite.
huh?
Or the same thing, you would have never known that there was an issue. And then I didn't hear anything until the next morning. And I knew that there was a scramble. The girls were leaving the next day for Coachella, which I did not attend with. But all I knew was that they had gotten in a pretty big argument. But because of the rush to get out that day, I didn't really get too many stories about it.
You cooked the dinner that night?
Correct.
What'd you cook?
Oh, I remember that. Actually, I do remember.
What'd you cook?
I made tacos, actually. Don't ask me why I remember what I made, but I did. She wanted Mexican food, so I did a big Mexican spread.
When you say that when Mr. Depp walked in, he appeared inebriated, do you recall, was he swaying? Was his voice, his words slurred? What do you recall?
Yeah, they put on an act,
I
which
had come to know him pretty well at that point.
is interesting
He was
because
pretty
people
good at hiding
describe Johnny Depp in many
it,
ways, but
all
never
that well.
disingenuous
So
or putting on
spend
an
enough time around
act.
with it, you can see the little ticks, slurring his words a little bit extra, swaying, being a little bit more discombobulated, and being a little bit more what's the word? Like just gregarious and loose. It's not his normal mode.
Okay, I hate to go back into what I'm going to refer to as the poop incident. But I think you testified earlier that you observed on a number of occasions dog poop or dog pee in Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's apartment. Is that correct?
In perpetuity.
When you say in perpetuity, what do you mean?
Pretty much constant. I've cleaned up my fair share in that apartment.
And I think you testified that the dogs weren't trained to only poop on the sidewalk.
They weren't trained at all. They had their run, and they'd be left at home for large portions of the day sometimes. And if there was nobody there to take care of them, and at some point, there was pee and poop on everything: couches, sofas, chairs, the bed, you name it.
So let's go to the
That's interesting.
May 21 incident, which is covered on pages 10 through 13. This is from Drew 7.
Is that like I've never had little dogs. Is that like a little dog thing to pee and poop on beds and couches and stuff like that, or
what you did chronologically in connection with this incident?
I don't remember what day of the week it was. It was either a Friday or Saturday. I want to say it was a Saturday because I was not in the office. Raquel had her first jewelry show the next day. And the
But
plan
I will
was
say
her and her
this,
friend Liz would come over to help her
from
specifically
now-
get set up for this. Amber was around. They were going to sit in PH5.
I think
and
that
yoga
that
and
it should
paint
now be
and
referred
make
to
necklaces and things
as
like that. And I was sort of in
Coachella
and out most of the
in
day, hanging out with them.
perpetuity.
And pretty rapidly thereafter, I don't think it was more than like 10 or 15 minutes before I heard a door open in the hallway. And a couple seconds later, I heard a really, really loud slam, which I later learned was a wine bottle being smashed into our
Okay,
door,
Amelia,
PH1.
yeah, because I'm not familiar
And
with
then I
little
heard
dogs. I've
Keisha
only ever had
and Johnny
big dogs.
shouting
I've
over
only
this
ever
kid
had
to open
labs.
this. Is it all right if I swear? I mean, I'm telling you here. That's okay.
You just say the words exactly as they were said.
As I remember, he said, "Open this fucking door, get me in here." And he came in, caught eyes with me right away, and beeline for me, screaming, cursing, spitting in my face. I walked calmly to leave, realized that I'd forgotten my keys and the dog, so I turned around and walked back to go get both. He stayed and followed with me, walking, pacing, screaming, cursing, spitting in my face, and I left calmly. At that point, Liz was still in the apartment, and the last look I saw of her is that she bolted around the corner and went upstairs to hide from him.
Had Mr. Depp ever done this to you before?
No.
Now I will say, when my mom
He-
passed away, I took
How desperate
custody
did he
of
get
her
when he
dog,
was,
and she
when
was
he
a
had
little
her screaming at you?
Close enough for it to be aggressive.
like Shih Tzu Lhasa Apso mix.
Was it a foot?
And if she ever
You
did
said
have
that
an
you originally
accident,
heard him
it was
say,
on the
"Open
rug
fucking door,"
in front
and
of
he
the back
was
door.
spitting and
I
screaming
don't
at you.
ever remember. I would remember her having an accident in my bed or in my
At that
couch.
point, I don't think I was really hearing anything. It was just, how can I get the hell out of here without something else happening?
And it only happened like a couple of times when she
Even
was
though
like
standing
first
from a face, he's also
adjusting to
got,
being there.
you
She
know,
was looking
2
for my
bodyguards
mom,
right
and I
there
think
with
she
him that
was
are bigger than me.
super
What's really gonna happen
confused.
here?
What were you feeling when this was going on? I'm trying to.
I mean, I don't think, honestly, I didn't feel threatened. I'll say that flat out. It
Hearsay
seemed
is
really,
if you
really
tell
silly.
what
I
the
wasn't really
person
surprised.
told you.
I just wanted to get out and make sure that the girls were okay.
And sometimes you can say someone's spitting at you because they're like performing on a stage and they're.
He wasn't like actively spitting in my face. It was just the nature of how close he was and the way in which he was acting.
Okay, so you go get your keys. You guys have your own dog. I take it.
Yes.
You got your dog.
Because he could have
You
later
go
learned
out. What happens next?
I walked out of the hallway, and to be very, very
on
candid,
his
I
own,
really
not from
don't
somebody
remember
telling
in this
him.
instance, whether I went to PH3 to go check on them or whether I went into PH1. The sequence of events after that as to when I actually got to Raquel and Amber or whether they came to me, I really don't remember that sequence of events offhand. I couldn't tell you.
So when you got to Raquel and Amber, what did you observe?
I remember first speaking to them specifically in PH1 in our place, but how it, like I said, how it is we got there, I don't remember. I remember Depp bolting the door. And
You're
Amber
welcome,
was,
Mrs. O.
catatonic. She was just like 1,000 yards there, just done. And Raquel was like trying to calm down herself. And I was like, just what the fuck just happened? And she started to recount a little bit, and I went right out the door and started banging on the door. To do
So,
something regrettable.
like
He was
that,
already gone
he
at
can
point.
tell.
Just so I understand that you banged on the door.
PH5.
He can tell that Raquel began to recount what happened, but he can't say what she
So
said.
tell me where you are, where he was, where you went.
I was in here when Johnny came in. Doors are right here.
The window should reflect. I mean, the window should reflect the witness from PH5.
Door was right there. This is in PH5. The living room's a little bit larger. I came out of the door to PH1.
I've been
Right
trying
smack
to
in the
figure
middle.
out what that
And I
hand
went back,
tattoo
started
is
banging on
this
the
whole
door to
time.
PH5, assuming he was still in there, but they were
Let
already
me
gone.
see if I can figure
So
it
what
out.
sparked you to go back to try to go after Mr. Depp was hearing from Rocky that Mr. Depp had pushed her,
Correct.
as opposed to Ms. Hurd.
Correct.
By the time you got over there, he'd already left.
Yes.
You said that Amber, when you saw that Amber and Rocky, I think you said Amber seemed catatonic.
Yeah, she was just a ghost.
How did Rocky seem?
From what I remember, sort of like when somebody's coming down from an adrenaline rush, she was just sort of like, she didn't really know what to do. Couldn't sit still, just sort of standing there and shaking.
So after you had gone to try to find Johnny, he already left. What happened next?
I went right back to the girls to make sure that they were okay after my own little selfish outburst.
And they were at that point still in your apartment.
They were still in my apartment. I came in. Amber had started to come out of it a little bit. Raquel had started to calm down a little bit. I started to get a little bit of information as to what happened. The thing I remember most distinctly was that Amber had Johnny's cell phone in her hand, so I took it from her.
And when did you first learn about the police?
We were in PH1. I believe at that point when I came back upstairs, Amber was already on the phone with her attorney. We went back to go take pictures of all the damage, took pictures of the wine stain and the whole.
Is that the first time you saw the damage in her place, or had you already seen it and kind of went back and forth?
Again, I'm a little foggy on that. I can't say definitively whether I'd seen it before or whether that was when I saw it for the first time. So we took her back to PH3. We took photos of the damage inside. And I want to say the first responders came pretty shortly thereafter. Maybe, again, I'm really guessing here. I want to say 20 or 30 minutes at the most.
The first set of police officers who were there, how long do you call them staying?
Maybe 15 minutes. I was asked to greet the officers specifically because Amber didn't want to file a report, and I said that I would speak to them to see if I could, get them to leave, say that everything's okay, even though honestly we all knew that there was no way they could do that. I told her that I would go and greet them first.
Okay, so 2 questions. Why did you know that there was no way they could do that? Let me ask you that question first.
Survivor of domestic violence myself.
What was your understanding of why she didn't want that?
She was still protecting him.
What else, if anything, Mr. Drew, do you remember either the female Hispanic police officer or the Caucasian gentleman saying anything?
I remember I was the one who walked them through PH3 where the original incident had occurred. I showed them the broken glass. They had already walked over the wine stain in the hallway, or the big spill of wine, and I showed them the bolt in the door. You could see looked like the bottom of a wine bottle. I took them into PH5 and showed them through. Their communication to me throughout was me just pointing things out to them. The Caucasian police officer pulled me outside solo. I can't say what happened internally, so I don't know whether anybody was in earshot, whether it was just Amber and the officer having a one-on-one, or whether there was anybody else around them. I don't know what was said either, specifically outside of what I might have heard secondhand, which has already been talked about ad nauseum.
You have in front of you, Mr. Drew, a series of photographs that we've marked as Drew 13. And I think I'm just going to take you through them one by one, if that's okay with you.
Oh, for
I'm gonna
Pete's
ask
sake,
if
I
you remember-
can't.
If you can tell me what these photos are.
These are photos taken of her the night of the incident.
Who took the photos?
Some were taken by me, some were taken by Raquel.
And when you say the night of the incident,
May 21.
and are you sitting here today, can you distinguish which were taken by you and which were taken by?
No.
Were you present when they were all taken?
I can't say that definitively.
Okay. Were you present when photos were taken of Ms. Heard's face, like you see on the first page of this?
Yes.
And is this image of Ms. Heard's
Needing
face
a,
on
I
May
need a
21
break.
consistent
Coolest
with your
reviews. Like I'm
recollection of
over
what
it.
looked like?
Yes.
And am I correct that unlike, it's a little hard to see because there's shadow on the right, but unlike the prior incident that we looked at where there were photos, here the injury looks like it's mostly on one side.
Correct.
Let's look at the next photo. Tell me if you can remember, if you can identify what that is.
These are pictures pulled off the wall and placed onto their bed in their bedroom.
Let's go to the next photo where it's clear.
So let me get this straight.
Do you
Johnny
recall
Depp is on a
seeing this
whole
on the night of May 21?
rampage.
Yes, this is on the column in PH5 going up the stairs.
Okay.
And there,
And
there,
he
glass
rips
were shattered.
pictures down off of the
Start with
wall
first photo
and then stacks
of
them on
Ms.
the
Heard's
bed.
face. Is that what
Is that a disconnect for you guys, or is it just me? Because at this point, I'm trusting. I'm not trusting my own thought process because it seems so just off.
You personally show these to the first group of police officers that night?
Honestly, this one, I really can't say whether I did show them to the officers. I don't recall
It's
this.
just so the record is clear, you're pointing to the photos on the bed.
Correct.
What about the photos on the wall?
The third photo, yes, I showed them personally.
For the photos on the wall, you had been in the apartment prior to this.
Yes.
Was the glass broken when you had last been in the
No.
apartment? Okay. Go to the next.
This is broken glass. I believe this is from the landing directly beneath the photo shown in the third photo.
And it's a landing on a staircase?
Yes.
Did you show, was that photo taken by either you or Rocky?
Yes.
Did you show that glass to the police officers who came, the first group of police officers who came that night?
Yes, I did.
Next photo? I take it even I can figure that out. That's the stairway, I
Yep.
think. And that photo was again taken by either you or Rocky?
Correct.
Was the broken glass on the stairway depicted in this photograph shown to the first group of police officers that night?
Yes, it was.
What's the next photo?
This is the hallway where there would have been spilled wine right outside the door of PH1.
And do you see spilled wine in this photo?
Yes.
Can you indicate for the record where that is?
If I'm
Here,
the jury right now, I am
And-
bored out of my gourd. I'm not even going to lie.
here, and here.
He's pointing to the sort of middle of the photograph on the right side on the floor, on the stripes.
And was this a photograph taken by either you or your then wife?
Yes.
And did the police officers, the first group of police officers who came, see this on that evening?
They would have walked through it before they even got to the door.
But that's not something you showed them.
No.
Last photo in the series? Can you tell me what that is?
That is a wine bottle and spilled wine on the floor.
Is this a photo that was taken by either you or Rocky?
Yes.
Is this something that you showed the first group of police officers that evening?
Yes.
I don't know if I would be asleep
Which
because I
apartment
have a
is this in?
struggle sleeping,
Believe this is
but
the PH1.
I would be bored out of my gourd
Which room?
and
in the living room.
running through all
As I
of
asked with
my
the
own
other series of
playlists
photos,
in my brain.
that we saw. First of all, are you aware of anyone who made any efforts to Photoshop or otherwise manipulate these photos to make the incident and the circumstances look worse than they were?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you have any understanding that evening that looking at the first photo of Ms. Heard's face that anyone had somehow put makeup on her face to make it look like she had an injury under her eye?
No.
With respect to these photographs generally that we've looked at in Drew 13, was there any effort to stage the photographs in any way?
Absolutely not.
And do you know how the photographs got ultimately to Ms. Heard?
I do not.
So I think you testified earlier with Mr. Chu, Mr. Drew, so we're rhyming here, that
Is that Elaine talking?
you were in contact in the building with Ms. Heard on the day of May 22nd.
Yes.
And I'll represent to you that the photos in Drew.
Exactly,
14
Sugar
on that
Beat.
day.
It means that he didn't see it happen. He doesn't know if it happened or not, but that doesn't
Talking
mean
about
it
the two
didn't.
I have in front of me right
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
It was either me or Raquel.
Is this consistent with your recollection of how Ms. Heard looked the next day on May 22nd?
Objection,
Yes.
lack of.
Did you see Ms. Heard's face on May 22nd?
Yes.
Did you or your ex-wife take photos of Ms. Heard's face on that day?
Yes. To my recollection.
And similar to questions I've asked in the past, was any effort made to stage those photos in any way?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Was any effort made to put makeup on Ms. Heard's face to make the injuries look redder or more serious?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Was any manipulation of the photos done either? using
I mean, the thing
Photoshop
is, if you're
or
going to do
similar
something like
Not
that,
to my knowledge, no.
two people can keep a secret if one of them is unalived, as the saying goes.
To the photos,
So
there and
would you
asking
want to
if you
have
could
11
identify
billion people to witness just in case they get mad at you later? I wouldn't.
First page.
I'm not saying it happened. I'm just,
Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't really remember which stairwell this was from which penthouse.
Each penthouse had a stairwell.
Yes.
Next one.
Oh my God, how many more of these are there?
Taken from PH5 where Amber's closet was located, or what Amber used as her closet, I should say.
Next page, same thing. Amber's closet.
Same thing.
Next page, at least the top one.
Top one.
I mean, that
same.
doesn't even look like a Hulk smash situation. It looks like somebody knocked over some racks of clothing. If they wanted to be destructive, there was a whole lot more they could do.
PH5 towards the kitchen, towards the Broadway side.
Yes, Sugar Beet, another excellent point.
Copies. Were you ever made aware, Mr. Drew, of anyone destroying Amber Heard's closet this way?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you aware of any efforts between and among Rocky Pennington, Io Tillett, Melanie Iglesias, Elizabeth Mars, or Amanda DeCadenet to quote, get their stories straight?
Not to my knowledge.
Have you had any outreach from any of those people that I just mentioned to you to coordinate your story or your recollection or your testimony about the things you testified here today?
No, I did receive a phone call from IO. I want to say maybe 3 months ago. That was to catch up.
And did you discuss during that phone conversation your recollection of the events that we've been discussing?
No.
Then why'd you talk about it?
That the dogs were too small to climb the stairs, is that
Correct.
And if the dogs, in fact, were too small to climb the stairs, how would they be able to jump on the bed?
One of them was not.
So it's your testimony that one of the dogs had the ability to climb the stairs and jump on the bed, and the other had neither.
Correct.
Oh, thank Pete. I'm so
Mr. Knight
done.
Completes the testimony of that witness. So we'll go ahead and have our lunch break.
Thank God,
Again,
I'm
during your
hungry.
hour lunch break, do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research, okay? Thank you. We'll see you
Yeah,
in an hour.
peace out, Girl Scout. I mean, I'm sorry. Thank y'all for being here with me to do this, because if y'all had not been, I would have been bored out of my, like, for real surreals, if I didn't have anybody to share this moment with. I thank you guys so, so, so much for being here and getting through this with me. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate that, because I don't understand the point of all of this. The points that they should be focusing on, they're not. Why are they not focused on the fact that he is saying that Amber called her entertainment attorney, and it was the entertainment attorney he told them basically to get to make sure that they had a cohesive statement, which, I mean, that is the correct advice, right? It's not necessarily a negative thing, okay? But the part that they should be focusing on is her testimony. The fact that she says she called her attorney, her entertainment attorney referred her to another attorney. That attorney told her not to give a statement, not to cooperate with the police. That's completely been left out. When did that happen? Did that happen? Or did Amber make that part of the story up because the allegations were that she and her friends, along with her entertainment attorney, worked together to stage a scene and create a cohesive statement? Is that what happened? Like, I'm annoyed that nobody's talking about the important details here, because in my opinion, those are the important details. I'm not really torturing myself, close reviews, but I'm annoyed because I don't understand the I don't understand why they're not talking about that. Because now I need to know, when did that's Amber's version of events. When she was deposed at any time, in any time, at any time, has she always said that there was a second attorney involved? I need to know that. Okay. And if she's always said that, then when he's being deposed in 2019, Johnny's lawyers should know that, right? And so they should be asking about that. Now, I agree that this is the deposition is being put together by her team. So I don't understand. I'm very confused and frustrated. And I want to know why they weren't called live. I feel like Mr. Drew over here would have been willing to testify live. I can see why Rocky Pennington wouldn't. I can see why Io wouldn't be. But he seems an eager beaver. He seems like he would love to show up. All right. Well, I'm starving. My stomach is eating a hole in my back. So I'm going to go and have some lunch. And I will see you guys tonight at 9:00. And we're going to go over this again. Hopefully at 2 times speed. All right. I will see you guys later on tonight. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being my ward family where no one suffers alone. And I will see you guys later. Bye, y'all.